Welcome to the Pub Sports Radio Saturday College Football Kickoff Show, Saturday, October 30th. We got the orange rocking on the screen in terms of the color scheme because it's Halloween weekend. We're hopefully not going to scare you or scare your money away with our picks today on this Halloween weekend. Ian Cameron, Conor Mac, DJ Big Boss, Big Ragoo with us on this Saturday, ready to break down the Saturday college football card. Let's get right into it. We'll start with the early kick games as we always do. Big Ten to start us off, Iowa and Wisconsin. We've got Wisconsin 3-point home favorites in this game. 36 the total. Is this 1980 or 2021? 36 the total here in this game. And look, it's a very low total, but you understand why. It's two outstanding defenses, two teams that prefer to run the football with mediocre quarterbacks, and two teams that are very good stopping the run. So where are the points going to come from in this game unless they come from the defense? That is the first thing I think of. So, yeah, the under makes sense. It's an under game in theory. The problem is you get those turnovers happening and you give Iowa short fields, something they've feasted on all year. All of a sudden, it could throw 36 into a little bit of peril if you're going to take the under here. But it still feels like that's the only way I could bet this game from a totals perspective. From a side perspective, I like the spot for Iowa. It's off a bye week. They've had some time now to shake off the disappointment of losing their first game to Purdue. And Purdue's not a bad football team. It's not like that's a horrible loss. At the end of the day, Wisconsin's had a brutal record as home favorites under Paul Chryst. We've already seen it this year. Lose outright as home favorites to Notre Dame. Lose outright as home favorites to Penn State. They've just been bad in the home favorite role. Army, they didn't cover at home. I think it's a close game down to the wire. Maybe Wisconsin escapes with a win, but will it be a win by more than a field goal? I'm not sure about that. So if I'm betting this game, I like Iowa here +3. I got 3.5, so I like the hook better, but +3 could only look to the Iowa side. I like the way this sets up for them. I don't think their season is ruined or their heads are just, they're just so distraught they lost that first game. There's still plenty to play for Iowa. They can still win the Big Ten West. They can still be in the Rose Bowl, and I think that's going to fuel them going into this game today. So I like Iowa with the points. Conor Mac, what do you think, Iowa, Wisconsin?
Yeah, I like Iowa as well. I'm not getting to the window here on the side. I like the under. This could slip over with turnovers, and that's the key. You talk about Chryst as a favorite in Wisconsin. That's why I can't take them. If you got 3 in the hook, I think Iowa's even live, money line. People say, wow, Wisconsin won last week against Purdue. I don't know. I think it was an all right win, but I wouldn't put anything on it. They're just going to both run it. Good defenses. I'd only play the under, and I'd only grab the points because when it comes down to it, I won't lay anything with Wisconsin, especially right now this year. So I'd grab the 3 in the hook. It could be a field goal game, 13-10. So I lean Iowa and the under.
All right, Big Ragoo, what do you like here?
Yeah, I'm on Iowa. Money line. Iowa money line. The key to this game is 200 yards on the ground. If Iowa gets there, Michigan and Notre Dame both did that, and they both walked away with some ATS money. And I think it's a good spot for Iowa. Even though we know how great Wisconsin's defense is, but that turnover ratio is tremendous. And then, just a couple of weeks ago, don't forget, Iowa's the number 2 team in the nation. So, it's a good bounce back spot for them to kind of get things going, lining up for bowl season. And it starts right here in Wisconsin Stadium to get the job done. Take a money line. I'm on Iowa.
Iowa, never mind the points, just go money line, says Big Ragoo. Boss, what do you like here?
Hey, keep swinging that Iowa train this way. This is another one of those spots, like I talked about last week with Clemson, that the bookmakers just jacking it up, trying to give people a reason to buy in on Wisconsin. When I broke the game down, I see no reason why they're favored in this game. They're banged up for one. The coach sound just totally defeated when he was speaking in his press conference. Iowa leads the series in ATS between the two teams. And just like I say all the time, you want to take Iowa when you're getting points. So give me Iowa as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's again with the bye week too, the extra time to prepare. And I don't know what it is about. Yeah, that's supposed to be a strong home field in Madison, Wisconsin, and Camp Randall. And it hasn't been that way. And Wisconsin, every time they've played somebody good on their home field, they've not gotten the job done. So they're going to have to show it to me. Next up, Bowling Green, Buffalo. Buffalo 13.5-point home favorites, 51.5 the total in this game. Boy, it's a long ways away from when Bowling Green was pulling that upset against Minnesota several weeks ago, because we thought at that time, we really thought, wow, have we really underrated this football team? I mean, they hung tough with Tennessee. They had covered 5 straight to begin the year, including the outright upset against Minnesota. They had a pretty good showing against a good Kent State team, and now the bottom's fallen out essentially here for Bowling Green these last 3 weeks. 3 straight losses, blowout losses, and 2 of them to Akron by 15, which is a terrible loss. And then against Eastern Michigan, not even competitive, 55-24. What's happened to the defense that started out the season so strong? They look like they're going in the wrong way. And again, these teams that weren't supposed to be good later in the year, injuries mount, and depth is a challenge. And I don't think the depth is great on this Bowling Green team, so I think that's playing a part in it. Matt McDonald in the offense just isn't good enough to overcome the defense really falling apart the last couple of weeks. So, maybe all of a sudden we get an over here because of Bowling Green's defensive decline here, but I'm staying out of this game. It's just a game. I'd lean Buffalo, but Buffalo's not the kind of team I'm ready to lay 2 touchdowns with, even though I got my issues with Bowling Green, who have kind of fallen apart the last 3 weeks. Connor, what do you think here?
Yeah, I grabbed Bowling Green a couple times, as dogs, but I'm staying way away. Like you said, they've gotten their ass kicked. They've given up 34 more, and there have been overs. And I really love Buffalo. I know they're at home, but I don't want to lay 2 touchdowns with them. This was a quick pass for me as well.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, Buffalo, if you chase them the last 5 weeks, you got 1 cashing opportunity against Akron. All the rest have been shit shows for them. And, like you said, there's no way I'm going to lay points with Buffalo in this spot. And Bowling Green, even though they've been a cover machine, not so much of late. So it's a pass.
Boss?
Yeah, this is absolutely a pass as well for me. But, I mean, people jump right in on Bowling Green because of their ATS. But Buffalo is leaking in the same manner as well. So both of them are, kind of started off one way and kind of ended up somewhere else. So 2 teams I can't really figure out at this time, so I pass.
All right, big noon on Fox, and it is a big game with Gus Johnson today in the Big Ten. Michigan and Michigan State in East Lansing. Michigan 4-point road favorites, 50.5 the total in this game. I can't see this game being anything but a field goal game. I really think it's close. I think the points with the Spartans is the way I would go. They stop the run very well, and I'm not convinced that Michigan's offense works if Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins and that ground game is contained, because we have not seen Cade McNamara have to do it himself through the air in the passing game. And I don't know if he's capable. Like, he's putting up basically every week. You look at every box score, he's basically putting up fewer than 200 passing yards in a majority of these games. He's not being asked to do too much or throw it too much because the run game has been working. I'm not sure the run game works for Michigan all that well. On the flip side, though, I'm not sure the run game works all that great for Michigan State, because Michigan's defensive strength is stopping the run. But Michigan State does have an amazing running back in Kenneth Walker, who's had an amazing year for them. Peyton Thorne's been highly effective at quarterback, deserving of winning the starting job, clearly. And that's why Anthony Russo, the Temple transfer, hasn't gotten a lick or a sniff in the quarterback position this season for Michigan State, because Peyton Thorne's played so well and consistently for Michigan State. So I think it lends itself to a lower scoring game here. I would lean under with the total, but I like the side even more. I like Michigan State here +4. I just see a close game. And keep in mind, Michigan has had some close calls. The Nebraska game, the Rutgers game at home. Remember, they only won by 7, and they were kind of like hanging on at the end in that game. So I think this is one of those spots where it's a tight game. Maybe Michigan wins, but I'm not sure it's by more than a field goal. So I would be looking at the home dog here. What do you think, C-Mac?
Yeah, Michigan really needs this win. Their schedule's pretty daunting after this, and I don't know if they get it here. I think the teams, like you talked about, very similar, and I think Michigan State has the better running back in Walker. He's leading the country in rushing yards, and I think Thorne's a little bit better than McNamara. Like I said earlier on the show on Monday, I dare him to beat me. He hasn't thrown the deep ball well, and like you talked about, 150 yards a game. I don't trust him, so I just think the wrong team's favored. Should be a pick 'em. I agree with you. I think the game's tight, so give me the 4.5 for the Michigan State, and I'd only lean under here on the total.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I'm gonna go a little contrarian with you guys on the total, but just looking past
over.
looking past what we've faced here, Michigan State, I think it probably faced more of an, I wouldn't call them explosive teams, but teams that are more offensively on the better side, a little more less challenging than Michigan has faced offensively. So I think, like you said, I think they're going to try to figure out how to run on each other, but I think that opens opportunity for bigger plays. And we usually see these type of plays when these two teams get on the field. You know, we always see those big plays, you know, whether it be defensively or offensively, turns out the point. So I'm kind of not leaning, I'm getting to the window with the over here, 50 points.
All right, liking the over here, 50 and a half. I don't know what the weather, it looks like there's going to be some rain today, but it doesn't look like wind is much of a factor. So keep that in mind, that as long as there's no wind, that wind takes me off of an over. Rain does not. So you always remember that. Boss, what do you like here?
You know, one of these teams got to jump off the undefeated category somewhere in this game right here. When you line the two up, I like Michigan better. It's a team that's based off the run and defense, which is great, but they don't really pass the ball well. So, you know, if they get down in games, we don't know always how they're going to climb out. Michigan State, on the other hand, they've been doing really well on the offensive side, running the ball, and they can throw the ball a little better than Michigan as well. So that gives them an edge too. But if you line the both up, I think just out of the gracious of Harbaugh finally putting things together and come this far, I think he outcoaches them and gets the W. But I couldn't give up any points in the game. I could only bet Michigan money line, but it wouldn't make any sense. So I'll probably just throw them in you know, some crazy exotic or something like that. But other than that, as far as the total, I agree with Big Ragoo. We all know the stigma of Michigan State being this defensive team, and they're nothing like that this year. So big possibility the score can get out of hand.
All right, would lean over and maybe Michigan. By the way, last year, Michigan State, 21.5-point underdogs, upset Michigan 27-24 in the Big House. And it's just amazing how far these teams have come from that point, because Michigan State had a bad year last year. Mel Tucker didn't get the full off season with that team, and it showed. They just had a dismal year. And, of course, Michigan had its worst year under Jim Harbaugh last year. So to see where they were then and where they are now, undefeated in a huge game this afternoon, much improved, both of these teams this year. Should be a good one there in East Lansing. Indiana, Maryland. Maryland 4-point home favorites, 48.5 the total in this game. I understand why the money's coming in on Maryland. This does feel like a Maryland get-right game, a step-down-in-class type of spot here for the Terrapins. Like, their schedule has been difficult. Maryland, they've played some really good teams, Minnesota, Ohio State, Iowa, the last 3 weeks. Indiana is not on that level, not by any stretch of the imagination. You could say that about Indiana, too. They've played Ohio State, Michigan State, Penn State. That's a pretty tough schedule as well. But they have no offense at all, this Indiana team. I mean, 5 straight non-covers, 0-5 against the spread slide going into this game. Doesn't matter. Jack Tuttle, I thought it would not be much of a downgrade from Penix, considering Penix had kind of struggled. But since Penix got hurt and Tuttle took over, I mean, it just brutal. I mean, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 51% completions for Jack Tuttle. He's been terrible. This offense is just not working. It's not functioning whatsoever for Indiana. And yeah, I know Maryland's offense is kind of run up against some good teams, good defenses. They badly missed their best receiver, who's Dante Demas, and he's, of course, out for the season. But when you look at this spot here for Maryland here back home after 2 road games against pretty good competition, I feel they can get right here because their defense actually played well when they played limited offensive teams that were very, very one-dimensional. Well, that's Indiana right now. And I think this Maryland defense, despite some licking their wounds the last 3 weeks, they can sort of right the ship on that side of the ball and do enough here maybe to get the win and get the cover. I could only back the Terps here, -4, and I would lean under the total. Does feel like it could be a lower scoring game. Little Tua, I think, can put up some points, but is he going to go up and down the field against Indiana, whose strength is defense? I'm not sure. So lean to Maryland, lean to under in that game. What do you think, C-Mac?
This one's a pass for me. I don't want either of these teams. After they beat Western Kentucky 0 against Penn State 15-7, where are they going to get points? I think they'll be able to score. Maryland's defense isn't that good. Just an ugly one. Maryland's more than a field goal. Just pass for me.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Makes sense, Connor. Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get with it. We know we're going to get with Indiana. They're struggling offensively without question. Their defense is good enough to kind of keep them hanging around in this game.
Yeah.
But if the Maryland decides to show up, the good Maryland, then they can get to the cover. But I don't want no part of it either. I would lean towards the under. I think both teams might struggle offensively here.
All right, boss.
These two teams are just too scrappy. You don't know which Maryland team gonna show up, and you don't know which Indiana team gonna show up. On a week like this, I'll leave it alone.
All right. Okay, next up we've got as we continue along, I've lost my which place we're at. Oh, there we go. Oh, a good one here. Miami and Pitt. We've got Pitt 9.5 point home favorites, 60.5 the total in this game. Believe there's a slight chance of rain here in Pitt. That's why we're seeing the total drop. I don't see wind being a huge factor here in Pittsburgh from what I've seen. So this is one where I'm probably going to go against the move on the total here. I think you're probably going to see some points scored here in this game between Miami and Pitt. Yeah, we're looking at cloudy for most of the game and very light wind and only a 40% chance of showers at kickoff. And then it's going to taper off and there's going to be a dry period from like 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So it's going to be dry for most of the game, light wind. I like the over here. Pitt put a lot of energy into the Clemson game, a lot of focus. And that's probably why Miami's taking the money. From a spot perspective, it's clearly a Miami spot, and it's not a Pitt spot. They're coming off the huge win against Clemson. You could see Kenny Pickett interviewed after the game. He said, I came back to Pitt for games like this. That tells you how important that game was last week for him against Clemson, getting that huge win. So you do worry about a little hangover letdown effect here for Pitt. Miami's offense could be good enough to get you through the back door, too, because Tyler Van Dyke's played well in the last couple of weeks, and Miami's been starting to put up some points. So you do get concerned about that. I'm not on Miami, especially now that the line's moved, but I can understand the reasons for taking the Hurricanes. They've clearly not packed it in, even though it's been an underwhelming season so far. But Miami's defense is awful. Their secondary is probably the worst part of that defense. They can't cover receivers down the field, and that's about the worst thing that you could possibly have against Kenny Pickett in this passing attack for the Pitt Panthers. So, yeah, it could be a letdown. Maybe the first quarter they're a little bit slow out of the gate, Pitt, but if they get that offense cranked up, I'm not sure Miami's going to get force many punts today because that pass defense is just atrocious, and obviously that's where Pitt is very strong. So I think Miami will get theirs because I could see a defensive letdown for Pitt a little bit after the big effort against Clemson. So give me over 60.5 here with Miami and Pitt, and the weather doesn't look like it's going to be too bad. Slight chance of showers, if any, and no wind. Connor, what do you think here? Miami, Pitt.
Yeah, give me the 10 points with Miami. I think they played a lot better, lately the last 3 weeks. I think this is a little bit of letdown for Pitt. Pitt's defense played well. I was all on the under. It stayed under. But you're right. I think Miami hangs in this game. Pitt's going to do theirs. They'll score. Like you talked about, Miami does have a bad secondary. And if Miami wants to play in this game, I think they got to be in the 30s. So I lean with you on the over as well a little bit, but I like the points here more, plus 10 Miami.
Yeah, they got blown out by Alabama and Michigan State, Miami, but in ACC play, they've been right in every game. They beat NC State last week. They lose by 3 at North Carolina, and they lose by 2 against Virginia. So, yeah, the points, I understand why people are taking them. I like Pitt. I'm a bit of a biased when it comes to Pitt because I've been very, very pro Pitt most of the year, but I understand the reasons to back Miami. I'm just going to stick to the over here. Big Ragoo, what do you like here?
I like Pitt to score points, period. I don't care if Miami scores points either, but Pitt's defense can be gnarly at times. They can step up and make some big plays. Like I say, Clemson took down a great game against Georgia Tech on the road, but Miami struggles on the road. They give it up on the road. They give up 44 points on the road and like 29.5, or 29 usually on a half point or halftime averages. But I think Pitt is a solid play for the first half total for me, over 18 points. I think Pitt scores, and you did say they start a little slow, which they can, but I don't think they have a hangover. I think they're full throttle ahead. Pitt team total over 18 half, or 18 in the first half.
All right, interesting look. Yeah, first half team total for Pittsburgh over 18.5.
I know it's 3 scores, 3 touchdowns, but I think they're capable.
And Pitt's also playing faster. That's another reason for
Right.
the over, too. They're playing a much faster pace this year, and that's what you get from Miami. They play quick on offense under that Rhett Lashley coordinated Hurricanes offense. Boss, what do you like here?
Oh man, on these mean Twitter streets, I'm always known as the doggone contrarian. And here we go right here. Wasn't expecting all that from y'all, but this how I broke the game down. So people always ragging on Miami because they're not the team that we want them to be, but they the team that they are. Although their defense is not what it used to be with the turnovers and all that good stuff, they still managed to keep teams just below 400, about 390 total yards per game. So there's no doubt that Miami still plays defense in this life, shall we say? And then from watching the interview with the coaches, you know, Pat talks about he's beaten them before in the past, but Diaz is saying that hey. All I know is every time we beat Pitt, every time I see them, we beat them. Now, we're in the spot where a lot of people are high on Pitt. You know, they're playing good offense. They're doing really well on that side of the ball. But this total of 61 between these two is the lowest it's ever been in the last – it's the highest it's ever been in the last 10 years. They never had 10 meetings. They never had a 61 between these two. So I think this one becomes a slugfest, and it's determined on the field. I think the game is slowed down. These two teams are familiar with each other, and they have a nice little fist fight on the field. Now, if Pittsburgh's going to cover, I don't know. Do you have enough faith in Miami's offense to take the 9 points? I don't know, but the total's definitely not going over 61, so I'm taking the under.
All right, liking the under. All right, we got another we go back to the Big Ten here. Rutgers, Illinois. Rutgers 1.5-point road favorites, 41.5 the total in this game. I don't usually bet a side based strictly on a situational element, but I am on Rutgers here. And yes, it's going to look ugly because Rutgers has been pretty rough the last 3 games. But, Michigan State and Ohio State were 2 of those games. You have to factor that in. Yeah, the Northwestern one was really bad. There's no excusing that. You're at Northwestern, who've had a rough year, and you lose 21-7. But what I like here for Rutgers is they're off a bye week, and all the quotes are positive. Schiano, Vidral, the quarterback, Pacheco, the running back, a couple of the guys on defense, because I wanted to get where are your heads at after this bad 3-game stretch? Bye week, clear your head, reset button. This sounds like it could be a reset button game for Rutgers. They're talking about we want to get to a bowl game. It's got to start here. It's got to start now at Illinois on Saturday. And on the flip, so those are bet on statements. And on the flip side, I got no issues fading Illinois off that kind of win last week against Penn State. 9 overtimes. You worry about the physical gas tank. It could be on empty here. The emotional gas tank. It could be on empty here. They did nothing in the passing game with Sitkowski last week. Nothing at all. And the one thing Rutgers can still do, is play some defense. You just hope they can score enough here, move the ball enough against Illinois' defense in this game. I'm on Rutgers here to win the game. I think they will. And look at Illinois' track record this year. Big win. What do they do the next game? They fall flat on their face. Beat Nebraska, lost to UTSA. They beat then after that, they beat Charlotte. They got shut out by Wisconsin. They have not reacted to victories and prosperity all that well. So give me the Scarlet Knights. Fresh off a bye, refocused, recharge those batteries. I like Rutgers here. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't want the side here. I think Rutgers coming off the bye might have a shot, but I don't want a -1.5 on the road. Illinois, 9 overtimes. Just take the under here. Every game, Illinois, 7 out of 8. Rutgers, 4 out of its last 5. The total's even at 41.5. Take the under.
Yeah, definitely the under. It should be low scoring. I would agree in this game. And by the way, other than the UTSA game in the second game of the year, every other Illinois game has gone under the total. Rutgers has gone under 3 of their last 4. And to be honest with you guys, they've only played 2 road games, Rutgers. They were the 2 of their best games of the year. They beat Syracuse 17-7 on the road, and they covered wire to wire very impressively against Michigan. So I think they've got what it takes to go on the road, beat this maybe hungover Illinois.
Seems like a long time ago, though. That's why
it does. But I like what I'm hearing out of Rutgers out of the bye week. Hopefully it shows up on the field today. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
This is one of my auto plays, half unit. Like I said, 42, 41 points. I always play the under, and this is going that way. I see like a 17-16, 2019 finish here. I'm actually scared at 1.5. I'm not comfortable taking it or laying it. You know what I mean? Because I think it can go either way. But give Rutgers, the credit to try to refocus here, and then, like you said, the hangover spot for Illinois. And I think it's a field goal game either way, or maybe a 2-point game, something like that. But I'm not comfortable laying or taking. I would lean towards the under, and I am on the under half a unit.
When you look at Rutgers' schedule, you say, okay, they're 3-4. They need 3 wins to be a bowl team. Can they get 3 wins in their remaining 5 games?
Yeah,
3 of their remaining games are today at Illinois, at Indiana, home to Maryland. Those are all winnable games for Rutgers. They won't win against Penn State. They probably won't win against Wisconsin. But the other games are winnable.
It's do or die for them for bowl.
Yeah, exactly. There is a path to 3 wins on their schedule, and it's got to start today. Boss, what do you think?
I think that we could say the same case for Illinois. I see these teams both at the same level. Like, they could be looking at the season the same way. And we know from how it plays out, teams coming off a bye, it's good for some teams and it's bad for some teams at some point right here. But I'm going to go with Brent Bielema in Illinois because he's been hitting a lot of these teams because, he's a new coach in a conference, new style. So you got to play him fresh. All you got is the tape that you've seen from this year, so forth and so on. And that's why they've been able to keep it close with a lot of these big games. I mean, they did get shut out to Wisconsin, but hey, you can look at it as they held them for 24 points. And you can look at a team like Wisconsin getting them because they play a certain type of football that the coach from the NFL coming over here, he has to adjust to the way that they play football. So he's been kind of winning some of these coaches matches since the beginning of the season. So I'm definitely going to take him at home in this spot. I think he has just as much chance as the Rutgers has a chance. And I'm looking past the bye because it usually takes really good coaching to, make the bye week, benefit, for the team. Sometimes some coaches, they need a break too, so they don't play as much focus on this bye week. So in this one, I'm gonna go contrarian again, and I'm gonna take Illinois.
Illinois to withstand the big upset last week against Penn State. Wow, that would be impressive because this is going to test them really mentally as well. That was an enormous win, very much unexpected win. Against Penn State. Well, maybe we should have expected it because James Franklin seems to lose one of those games every year like that. But nevertheless, an interesting game there, Rutgers and Illinois. See if Schiano can get. Schiano's still done an amazing job in 2 years because Rutgers was an afterthought before he took it over. But obviously, it's been a rough stretch. We'll see if Rutgers can bounce back here. Central Florida Temple, UCF 11.5 point road favorites, 51.5 the total. I'm totally off this game. I mean, UCF laying doubles on the road with Mikey Keene at quarterback. No thanks. I'm not interested in doing that. But on the same point in time, when you're only scoring 14 points against South Florida and you're only gaining barely over 200 yards of offense against the Bulls, you got problems. And DeJuan Mathis, the quarterback for Temple, has clearly regressed the last couple of weeks. So I want no part of it, either side or total pass. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, this was a pass for me as well. Other than that Memphis game, they've had trouble scoring, Temple. They put 3 at Cincinnati, like you said, 4 against South Florida. This was a quick pass for me, and nothing on the total pass as well.
Yeah, exactly. Big Ragoo.
Yeah, UCF's defense is pretty average, but Temple's offense is way below average.
Yeah.
And laying doubles on the road, they had to go to a very pedestrian offense with Keenan. And that kind of put the kibosh on their big, for them winning by double digits week in, week out, like we're used to seeing. It's nowhere even close to the same UCF team. So it's a pass here. I don't want to lay the doubles. If they were at home, maybe I'd lay 14, but on the road, forget it.
All right, boss.
It's a pass for me as well, but just to make a case for old Gus over there at UCF, yeah, he's been doing good as well against not mediocre, but I'm gonna say teams of not the big teams, but teams among their level. So I would lean Gus, but I don't know about laying all that many points. So it's a pass for me.
All right, Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech in the ACC. Georgia Tech 3.5, 4-point home favorites, 55. Being the total here in this game. What on earth has happened to the Virginia Tech defense? Remember, it started the season so strong, and that was really the strength of the team. It's why they beat North Carolina. And really the last 3 weeks, it's been awful. It's been a huge step back for the defense. 32 allowed to Notre Dame in a home loss, 28 in a blowout loss at home to Pitt. And then Syracuse, they just could not get a stop. They kept getting the lead, moving the ball on offense. Burmeister in the offense had one of their best games of the year. And then it's the defense that can't get a stop last week against Syracuse and Garrett Schrader. And the Syracuse Orange end up winning 41-36. So that defense, you got to worry too. Later in the year, injuries mounting. And look, Virginia Tech got cluster injuries in the secondary. Devon Hunter, Jermaine Waller, both out. And you can see teams are throwing the ball against them. Just Jeff Sims, a quarterback that's good enough to do that and take advantage of a secondary that's reeling right now. Perhaps, we saw them put up 40 last week against Virginia, and he did throw for 300, and he ran for a 65 as well. And Jahmyr Gibbs running the football has been effective as well. I think Georgia Tech's the side. Virginia Tech is reeling right now. I don't trust them to go on the road and get the job done here. In this game, I would only look at the Yellow Jackets minus the 3.5. And I think I would lean over the total here, 55, with the Virginia Tech defense collapsing. Georgia Tech's defense is capable of giving up points. And look, the Hokie offense is actually, it was the strength in the Syracuse game. They actually did move the football very effectively in that game. So I think that game could go over the 55 as well. What do you think, Connor, with Va Tech and Georgia Tech?
I want neither of these teams. Georgia Tech's got me all year. Now he's like 3.5, 4. Virginia Tech's been sloppy. And then you talked about they got shredded, their defense, the end of the Notre Dame game. And then last week with Syracuse. At 55, yeah, I lean the over. I didn't bet it, but at 55, I think Georgia Tech's got to win. They got to score a bunch of points. Their defense is very good. And Sims, he could still throw for 300 and stuff like that, but turnovers are always around the corner with him. So I'd be leery of laying it with Georgia Tech.
Big Ragoo.
Both of these teams left a bad taste in my mouth the past few weeks, especially last week. I had Virginia Tech as one of my best bet early play. But, man, what else can you do? You can score points and the defense let down. And Schrader, man, that kid had a hell of a game. They had no answer for him last week. But every time they got the lead, like you said, they gave it up. So, you know what? I'm just going to take a pause on both of these teams. As a matter of fact, I watch this.
Yeah. Rip up the script. To hell with both of them. Exactly right. No. Yeah, and you know what? You know why I also like Georgia Tech here? What was Garrett Schrader last week for Syracuse? A mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
He could run, he could throw. Jeff Sims is the same for Georgia Tech. He can run and he can throw. And if they had a problem with a mobile quarterback last week, Virginia Tech stopping him, they might have same troubles here with Jeff Sims for Georgia Tech, who's got that mobile element to go with the passing as well. Boss, what do you like here?
Well, it's never good when you deal with the mid teams in the ACC. That's not a good one right there. So it's a pass for me as well. Can't trust neither team. And like I said, it's ACC play. It's weird stuff over there. So leave it alone.
Someone asking, there is a UFC live stream starting right now. So just click the Pub Sports Radio YouTube channel. You'll find it. If you're interested in the fight stream, the live stream for the UFC card, you'll find it. Just hit Pub Sports Radio. It'll be up there, and it'll say live now, and you'll see the stream.
Hey, don't leave. We'll give you some winners. You can take that money and bet it on
or you
UFC.
can stay here and watch this show. Yeah, exactly. Friendly competition is what it is. No, they'll be on much longer than we will because the main card's like, I think 1 o'clock or something, and they'll be on for that too. So make sure you check that out if you're interested. UMass and Liberty. We've got Liberty 35.5 point home favorites, 56 the total. This is a lot of points to be laying, but after what I saw from UMass last week, I took a shot with them with Florida State in the sandwich spot, and they got run over by the Seminoles last week. So I'm going to stay off this game. I could only look to Liberty, maybe Liberty first half if you're interested, but I'm going to pass. Conor Mac?
Seems like Liberty already played UMass, but maybe I'm just this year when I saw this, I'm like, I thought they already played him. Yeah. Liberty just seems like they're coasting, lately. Either they get a lead and blow it, or they're down like they were to North Texas and come back and still win by, 35-26. I want nothing with this one. It's a pass for me.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I'm on the others here. It's like you said, maybe a first half look for Liberty. That's the only thing I can come up with possible.
Boss.
I'm not trying to lay that many points with Liberty, but this could be homecoming or something for this team right here. You got to watch out for the homecoming and the senior days, and these kids play crazy. So I don't know. It's a pass for me.
Looks like, by the way, Pitt, Jordan Addison, great receiver, and Israel Abanaconda for them. It looks like both of them were questionable going into the Miami game. It looks like they're on the field warming up, so that's a good sign for Pitt that two of their better skill position players might be in the game today against Miami. Texas State, UL Lafayette, or Louisiana, I should say, Raging Cajuns. Cajuns 21-point home favorites, 58 the total. I'm on Texas State here. This is that point spread roll where I flat out, do not trust the Cajuns. They have been miserable as like 2 touchdown, 3 touchdown favorites, the last couple of years. And Texas State, is good enough offensively with Brady McBride that I think they could, if they're down by 21 or they're down by 24, they could punch in a late score against a disinterested Louisiana defense. I think that's very possible. You look at their losses, their last 2 losses in Sun Belt play, 3-point loss to Troy, 12-point loss to Georgia State. It's not like they've been completely blown out. Remember, they covered against Baylor the first game of the year and only lost by 9. So this is just a bad point spread range for Louisiana. Look at their last 3 games as double-digit favorites. Georgia Southern won by 8, South Alabama won by 2, Arkansas State, bad Arkansas State team, they escaped by the skin of their teeth with a 1-point win. Give me Texas State here. I think this is an inflated number. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, this is the number. Stay away from with Lafayette. They continue not to cover here. I had Texas State last week getting 10. They lost by 12. I'm going to put a half unit as well, catching the 3 touchdowns. I think they could keep it close. The defense still isn't very good, but I think they could score some points here today.
Yeah, I lean over as well. I like the over a little bit. I'll bet the over, but I like the side more. Big Ragoo.
I was going to say I lean under here because every game but one went under with Lafayette. You know what I mean? But they have definitely not been a cover machine. That's an understatement, the way they've been playing football compared to the number. So, yeah, you either got to look Texas State and under or pass.
All right, boss.
This one right here, Texas State, they've been covering ATS pretty good, but they're upside down right here. They're scoring 25 points a game and they're allowing 33 points a game. And I have a problem even taking that 20 points in them. But also, like you said, Louisiana struggles covering those 3 touchdowns right there. So, but not a team you want to take that chance. So I'll leave it alone or take the under.
All right, we have Texas and Baylor, one of the good ones at noon Eastern time as well. Baylor 2.5 point home favorites, 61.5 the total. I'm on Baylor. I'm on over. And I'm on over, even though Baylor's defense has been very, very good in this season. But the one thing they've not faced is a balanced attack, team that can run it well, team that can throw it well. When Casey Thompson's on, they can throw it well. There are some games he hasn't been. But you look at Texas, offense hasn't been the problem. 58, 70, 32, 48, 24, and the low water mark there was that 24 against a really good Oklahoma State defense. So, I think Texas can move the ball a little bit here against Baylor. The one thing about Baylor's defense, which has been good, they've played Texas Southern, they've played Texas State, they've played Kansas, they've played a lumbering Iowa State offense. They played West Virginia's offense isn't all that spectacular. BYU is a solid offense. It's not necessarily dynamic, quick strike, fast-paced, explosive. Texas is. So I think you could see this one get up and over the total. As far as the side goes, I trust Baylor. Less than a field goal, asking them to win the game. They've been a covering machine, 5-1 ATS their last 6. I like Baylor here to win the game. Less than a field goal, I'm on the Bears. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, this probably is the best offense they faced, but they should be able to score on Texas. That defense isn't very good. And I've been impressed with Baylor. I watched the Iowa State game earlier in the year, and I saw him beat down Brigham Young, BYU, 2 weeks ago. So this is less than a field goal. Give me Baylor here.
Yeah, Jerry Bohannon, one of the most rapidly improving players and specifically quarterbacks going.
He's been great. He's not turning the ball over. Yeah.
100% right. Like early in the year, they were winning in spite of him. Now they're winning because of him. Like he is playing much better now at quarterback for Baylor, getting that confidence, getting that swagger. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, I was looking at those numbers too, Ian. Like the last 4, they've been averaging like 24 points against. But, Texas is going to give them a little different look than the other teams that you mentioned prior. But you know what? I was looking towards Baylor's team total. I think it's probably going to be like 31 possibly. I think Baylor is going to put points up against Texas in the spot. Even though Texas is coming off rest, they'll definitely give up points here. So, and a short number at home. So I'd have to lean Baylor and maybe a team total over with Baylor.
Yeah, by the way, both teams off the bye in this game, so that's good. That's good. So there's no situational or scheduling advantage for either team. That's the good thing. Boss, what do you think here?
Easy call right here. This is Texas versus Texas. You take the over every time.
There you go.
Sometimes it's just that simple.
You're right. Texas and TCU, TCU and Texas Tech, Texas Tech.
Texas versus
TCU
Texas takes over.
Yeah. I'll have to keep an eye on that and see if there's. You're probably right. Just off the top of my head, it feels like a lot of these games with two Texas schools are high scoring. So we'll see. I'm going to keep my eye on that trend, boss, and we'll see if there's some.
I've been watching it for years. The Texas versus Texas, they want to fight.
They do. They want to get after it, and usually when you want to be aggressive and win, it leads to points. That's true. Cincinnati and Tulane. Cincinnati, 27.5-point road favorite, 61-62 the total. Cincinnati, I think, wants to build a margin and beat teams up handily, but Navy didn't allow them to do that last week. 27-20. I give the midshipmen a lot of credit. It broke a four-game covering streak for Cincinnati. I don't know if Tulane's going to be that team to add to the non-covers for Cincinnati because the defense has been non-existent for Willie Fritz's team. The defense is on the fritz for Willie. 61 allowed to Ole Miss, 28 allowed to UAB, which is pretty much a meandering offense, 52 to East Carolina, 40 to Houston, 55 to SMU last week. I mean, there's just no defense being played at all by this Tulane team. And against Desmond Ridder and this Bearcats offense, that could be trouble. And what surprised me is how Michael Pratt has gone backward for Tulane at quarterback. I mean, he's kind of had a rough year. He's, not completing as many passes, like 50% completions last week. It's been a little bit of more of a struggle for the offense. The offense has been good, but good enough, I should say, decent enough, but it just hasn't been able to overcome this bad defense. So we'll have to wait and see on this. And also keep in mind, Pratt took a huge hit in that game last week with the concussion and may not play here. So you could be looking at a situation where it's down to the backup quarterback here for Tulane, which again could be a problem because if they're probably going to have to score some points here to stay competitive. So you could be looking at Kai Horton in at the quarterback spot instead for Tulane in this game. So it's a tough one. I mean, without knowing Pratt will play, there's no way I could back Tulane at Cincinnati or pass. I'm probably going to ultimately decide to pass. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, it's Cincy or pass. I know last week they didn't get it done. They're still really good first half. I look at them that way. Tulane, after that first week against Oklahoma, they covered. They haven't covered since, and they're giving a 52, 55, 61 against Ole Miss. I think it's similar here today. And you talked about their offensive score, but when you give up 50, 25 ain't going to cut it. So Cincy or pass here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I think this game bodes well for the Cincinnati offense for sure. Playing that tough game against Navy. How about Navy getting it done last night too? But anyways, I think they put the onus on their defense for that game just to kind of, maybe not win by margin, but just play a tough football game on the defensive side, which they do week in, week out anyways. But I like, we might be looking at the best team in Ohio right here. I think they want to make a statement and they want to keep that offense going to keep strides with Ohio State for the playoff scenario. Look for Cincinnati to win big today. I'm not getting to the window with it, but I think it's a good spot for them.
All right, boss.
I got a question for the chat. Do you think this Cincinnati team is one of those teams that want to really impress everybody and win by big margins, or you think they're just trying to get there and get it done? Because with the schedule that they have coming up, I mean, the hardest one on there left is SMU, and I believe last week with the Navy game, just out of respect for the armed forces, they didn't feel no reason to run up and down the field on them. But I think coming back out this week, I don't know, Fritz been kind of showing that he wants to kind of stick at the team and prove a point. But y'all let me know in the chat. But on this one, it's Cincinnati or pass.
Yeah, I think the Cincinnati first half, which is minus 16.5, that does make some sense. Because Tulane, you're right. First half defense, terrible. Absolutely. Defense overall, terrible, but especially in the first half. It's been a rough go of it for that defense and that stop unit to get anything done on the defensive side of the football. All right, next up here as we continue along, breaking down the card, let's see what we've got here. It is Iowa State, West Virginia. Iowa State 4-point road or no, sorry, 7.5-point road favorites. I'm looking at first half lines. 7.5-point road favorites here in this one. The total right now in this one currently at looks like 48.5. So I lean under here. I like West Virginia a little bit. Like last week, I was at home against Oklahoma State. I said I don't trust Iowa State in this range where they're being asked to win by more than a touchdown. I just don't. And I kind of feel that way again. They're a good team, but I don't trust them as north of a touchdown road favorite. Dagey in West Virginia showed me something against TCU off the bye week. Things weren't going well before that, and they had a much better game last week. Now, TCU's nowhere close to Iowa State. I get that, but I think it's just a few too many points. I would only look at the home dog, the Mountaineers, and we know they play good in Morgantown. It's a tough place to play, so I like West Virginia a little bit. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, they get the big win at home. Even if it was a tight game, now they got more than a touchdown on the road. I lean West Virginia with the points, but I like the under even better. Give me the under 48.5. It stays under.
Big Ragoo.
Yeah, you talk about bowl eligibility. I mean, they don't have like 2 wins, and this is a big game. This is a must win if they talk about getting in the postseason. But I think Iowa State's going to be a tough ask for them to go, even though they play well at home, a lot better at home. I think Iowa State wins, but I don't think they cover.
All right, boss.
I think that under is a good spot. The offense over there is not too well, and they're going to go up against this Iowa State defense, who does really good against the pass as well. So I think that they shut it down. I really like that under right there. I think I might have to look over that again. Might make that an official play for the day. But I like the under right there. And I like Iowa State, man. I think they're a pretty good team, man. Sometimes I wanted to fade them at the beginning of the season, but that defense keeps showing up and playing hard. If they get any better on offense or get some breaks, some big plays, they can get the win every time. So I take Iowa State in the under.
All right, we have North Texas and Rice next up here. We've got Rice 1.5-point home favorites, 55 the total in this game. Where's my boy Dutch when I need him from the NBA Pub Hub show, where this is a backwoods, as he'd say on that show. That's exactly what this game is, North Texas and Rice. I want no part of it. I mean, these two teams have been erratic, inconsistent. Some games they've been blown out. Some games they've been competitive. Look at North Texas. They get ripped by Marshall, and then they hang tough and only lose by 9 against Liberty last week. So go figure with them. I can't figure them out. And then Rice, they get annihilated by UTSA, and then they beat UAB outright, 30-24 is 23.5-point dogs. One week they're up, 1 week they're down, both of these teams. It's just too erratic for me to get involved. So I have nothing here. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a shitload of games, and run far away from this one. I mean, Rice all of a sudden wins last week after getting blown out 45-0, losing every game. I pass. Can't take North Texas either. Pass.
Big Ragoo.
Rice is on my radar. Them and Marshall for auto pass. Don't even look at it. Goodbye, Rice.
Boss.
Yeah, the doctor got me on a low carb diet as well, man.
Yeah.
So no rice for me either.
There you go. No rice for us.
They
Move
belong
on.
in a bowl of soup.
I agree with that. All right. Let's see what we got. All right. Next up, Hawaii and Utah State. We've got this is a DJ Big Boss special here. Utah State 5-point home favorites, 65.5 the total in this one. A lot of money on Hawaii, and a lot of it due to the fact that it looks like for Hawaii, Chevin Cordero is going to play. He was a game time decision most of the week, shoulder injury. Seems like he's going to be in there for Hawaii. As much as I've liked Utah State, and I like, Blake Anderson's going to be, it was a good hire. I think in time, Utah State is going to continue to improve, and they are continuing to improve. They're 5-2. They need one win, and then they're bowl eligible. Utah State, they have back-to-back wins against UNLV, and Colorado State was a good win last week, considering how well Colorado State's been playing lately. Their only losses were BYU and Boise State, and they really played well in times in those games. So we'll have to wait and see. Hawaii, they're playing good football too. 3 of their last 4 they've won, including a big upset against Fresno State. It feels, though, like this should be a close game. That's the one thing about Air Force. They've won games, but they've won them all close. Look at the scores. Washington State by 3, Air Force by 4, UNLV by 4, Colorado State by 2. They're not a win by margin type of team. I would lean Hawaii here, lean over as well. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, just a few too many points for me as well with Utah State. I think they get it done here at home. Hawaii's played well, but there's a problem when they leave Hawaii. They don't win many ball games, so I'd be leery. You could take the points with them, but I still think Utah State gets it done. It's just a lean, though. I can't take at the -5 here.
Yeah, and you'll probably see both Utah State quarterbacks. It's been the norm. Logan Bonner and Andrew Peasley. They've both gotten time lately for Utah State. Probably see that again. And by the way, both teams play a little bit up-tempo, so that's another reason why the total's where it is. Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I don't like Hawaii in early afternoon games, especially away from the island. We usually see the midnight DGen specials for them over there. But I was tempted to kind of lean Hawaii taking the points, but I think Utah State's going to have a little too much for them. So it's a pass for me, but I would take Utah State or pass.
Yeah, that is a good point about the start time. 3 p.m. Eastern, that's 10 a.m. on Hawaii time on their body clock. So interesting to see how they adjust to that. Boss, what do you think?
Yeah, exactly what you said. Interesting to see how they adjust to that. And they haven't been adjusting lately. They're 1-3 away from the island. So I don't expect – this is a good Utah State team right here. I don't expect them to just come out here and handle them. But I think where the misconception in this one might be is the total. Under might be the spot. Hawaii defense shows up sometimes. The offense possesses the ball sometimes. Utah State does like to go a little more up tempo and like to score, but I think they're right at that level where those two teams balance each other out. So I lean hard on the under in this one. The total may just be a little bit too high. Hawaii's not going to come off the island and just score all those points like that.
And the Utah State Boise State game too. I remember that like clearly that was an early game, and that game was very much an under, way under the total. So keep that in mind. Very interesting to see how this goes for Hawaii and Utah State today. All right, Washington State, Arizona State, Sun Devils 16-point home favorites, 54 the total in this game. This Washington State team, even without Rolovich last week and the coaching staff got sent packing, they got their walking papers prior to the game against BYU and still right in that game, and they lose by 2. That's 5 straight ATS wins for Washington State. But you have Utah off a loss to, or Arizona State off a loss to Utah and a bye week. So a good team off a bye week. And Washington State now going on the road to face a rested and very, very strong and capable Arizona State team. Washington State, by the way, has had no success here in Arizona State. 0-5 ATS, their last 5 visits here to Tempe. I lean to the favorite. I think this could get away from Washington State, but I also can't ignore the fact they've covered 5 straight. I don't think that's going to continue indefinitely, but right now lean to the favorite here. What do you think, Conor Mac?
I'm leaning to the dog. The scary thing is you're talking about is their past history here. They just got, their ass whipped here. But I can't help, this team's better defensively. This is why they've won 5 straight against the spread. And even last week, they backdoor covered. I just think Arizona State's more of a 10-point favorite, in my eyes. Now it's almost 17. I think Washington State hangs in here, and it's because of their defense. They could keep it within this number.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I'm going to give you a different look altogether. You remember when USC got rid of Helton and the team kind of rallied and got back and came out for that good game, and then after that, it was all duds, more or less. I think even though Washington State defensively sets up nice, I think it's too much emotion after last week, and they left everything on the field. They come back this week, and the wheels fall off. So, and ASU is a very well-coached and an offensive team that can put points up. Even though we got a solid defense the other way, I just think emotion's going to play in this game, and I think ASU beats the brakes off of them.
All right, ASU big, says Big Ragoo. DJ Big Boss.
Yeah, I like that look as well. ASU coming off a bye now. This is a team where coming off a bye can be helpful because they have a strong coaching staff that can get them prepared. And this Washington State team, despite the drama with their coach or not, they haven't been able to stop the run. And this team likes to run all over the field, not only with the running backs, but with the quarterback as well. So I think Arizona State primes up that offense a little bit, especially going in, on the bye week. Going into the rest of the season, they had to go in there and work on nothing but offense because the defense has been doing pretty well. So I think we see a good offense. I would say if you want to get sneaky with it, take Arizona State first quarter, first half, and full game.
They've been good Pac-12 home favorites this year as well. 35-13 over Colorado, 28-10 over Stanford for Arizona State at home too.
And,
So
and
yeah,
and it's early. It's an early Pac-12 game, which won't allow the refs to do all those replays of everything. And
well,
them
that's a
late
good
night
thing.
Pac-12 games are ridiculous.
Yeah, it seems like there's always drama with the Pac-12 after dark. I agree with that. Missouri and Vanderbilt. Missouri 16-point road favorite, 62.5 the total. You know, it is a Missouri game, which means I lean over because their defense can't stop anybody. But Vanderbilt might be that one team they can stop because Vanderbilt's the offense has just been non-existent really for the last 3 weeks. Shut out by Florida. They only put up 20 against South Carolina and then 6 last week against Mississippi State and 3 straight unders. So as much as I've been riding this Missouri overtrain, I should say, I have real doubts whether Vanderbilt can move the football, even against this defense. So I lean to the over, but not enough to bet it. What do you think, C-Mac?
Yeah, nothing for me either. I lean the over. I wish it was a few more points. I maybe take Vandy. You know, they're at home. Can they, score with them? Man, but it's a pass. I couldn't do it. Couldn't go that low.
Big Ragoo.
I was thinking the same thing you were, Connor, but I mean, Vandy's dead last in scoring points in the nation, so like 13 points a game on average, and Missouri's defense is horrible. So that's what I was looking towards, but I'm getting off this game altogether.
And Boss.
It's probably like just after midterms, getting ready to go in the finals over at Vandy, so they're focused on their education, not what's going on in the field. So it's a pass for me, but I think Vandy's not that team that's going to make a difference right here.
Boston College, Syracuse. Syracuse 6-point home favorites, 51 the total. Give me the Cuse here. Cuse are rolling. Cuse have covered numbers for me. I've been on the Cuse a bunch, and now we're finally seeing Boston College's offense sputter, and we're seeing them sputter because Dennis Grosel ain't Phil Jurkovic. Not even close. He's been awful. He was terrible, and I was so pissed off with how he played last week against, I thought, a Louisville defense that's vulnerable, and he couldn't figure them out. So how's he going to figure out a Syracuse team playing their best football right now? Now, the one issue is we have not seen Syracuse in this kind of price range very often. Now they got to win by a touchdown or more. You are a little concerned about that, but I've been riding them. It's not the price range I've been cashing with them, which is usually short favorites or dogs, but I'm going to take a chance here because this Boston College offense is limited. The passing game is really having a tough time with Grosel at QB instead of Jurkovic right now. So I like the Cuse below a touchdown here. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, this one, it's tempting. Before they beat Vodtech, they had covered, but they had lost those games close. Now they're laying almost a touchdown. This game was a pass for me. Boston College, that offense just isn't doing enough for me to take the points. I lean Syracuse slightly, but no bet here for me.
Yeah, and Hafley off a bye week, too, for BC last week, and the defense played one of their worst games last week against Louisville. So you can't even rely on them maybe now, and that's really a problem. If that defense is going to start having a tough time, BC, forget about it. They're going to have a tough time the rest of the way if that's going to continue. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, they got shredded for over 300 yards on the ground against BC, and then Schrader is going to shred him again this week with his legs and his arm, I think. So, I mean, I'm scared of that number, but I think they'll eat up a lot of clock too. Long drives, third down conversions. So I would look towards the under possibly. I know it's not a big number, it's not a tall number or a real short number either, but I'm thinking, I think Syracuse gets the W, and it stays under. But we'll look for Syracuse. If they can win by the margin, like you said, they got to get a touchdown in the books. But I like the under on that game.
All right, Boss.
This game right here is really trappy because Syracuse has been 7-1 ATS most of the time getting points, and here it is all of a sudden they put this big number up. So either the books are saying that they know Syracuse is gonna win by a landslide, or they're saying that since you guys like Syracuse so much, we're gonna put them right here in the game where they're gonna get caught up. So this game is just too trappy for me. I would go under, and I'd leave the side alone.
Minnesota Northwestern, Minnesota 7.5-point road favorites, 44 the total. I got to pat myself on the back I had Minnesota last week in the game against Maryland, but I want to pat myself on the back for a different reason. I said after the Bowling Green loss on this show, I remember it. It was after October 2nd before they played Purdue. Sometimes when a team has that awful loss, that inexplicable, despicable loss, like Minnesota did against Bowling Green, they were 31-point favorites, they lost. That's when you bet on the team because they're undervalued. Everybody gives up on them. Everybody thinks they suck now. The power rating goes down on Minnesota after a loss like that. Look what's happened with Minnesota since that loss to Bowling Green. 3 wins, 3-point spread covers at Purdue, home to Nebraska. They beat down Maryland last week, 34-16. This is Minnesota or pass for me. You know, they've been undervalued since that Bowling Green loss. They were devalued after that loss, and there's been point spread value to back them ever since. And Northwestern's so bad, I can't, like, they did beat Rutgers, I get it. But last week against Michigan, no offense, struggled to move the ball. And before that, got ripped apart by Nebraska. Just don't trust Northwestern enough. Usually I like Fitzgerald as a dog, but not with this year's group. So pass for me, I could only lean to Minnesota. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I lean Minnesota as well. I think they've been playing good football. Northwestern just struggles to score. More than that with the lane, I lean the under. I think Northwestern, that's their problem, while they'll probably lose and can't cover, is they running game. Michigan just had to hand it off last week, and they almost covered but couldn't. Northwestern, I see a similar game. I like the under here and lean Minnesota.
Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I lean under too, Connor. But, I mean, you got to give kudos to Fleck, you know, after losing Ibrahim, and then Potts going out earlier in the month, and then they got a wide receiver that's questionable here. So that's a good coaching job on his part. And like you say, rallying troops after that horrific game against Bowling Green. So it's either Minnesota or pass, and I lean under.
All right, boss.
I lean under as well, but I'm going to take a more sneaky route, and I'm going to go Northwestern team total under. I think Minnesota defense sticks it to a struggling offense right here. Minnesota defense is ranked high up there, so they got a nice pass rush and some great tacklers. So I think that they may show up and show out today. Keep it under for team total on Northwestern.
All right, Northwestern team total under for DJ Big Boss. All right, we move on to Florida State and Clemson. Clemson, are they going to cover a point spread in my lifetime again? We'll have to 9.5 point home favorites. We've got the total of 47.5 in this game. Total's actually been bet up. This feels like a high total for Clemson, but a low total for Florida State because we know their defense can go on the blink every now and then. But is Clemson's offense capable of doing anything about it? I'm not sure. This is just a knee jerk because I've been going against Clemson every week. We keep on cashing. I'm back on the Florida State side here, plus the points, plus 9.5. Just going to dare Clemson to cover a point spread. They've not been able to do it. I think that loss against Pittsburgh, that might even be a bit bigger hangover for Clemson because now that's their second loss. That's the dream killer loss last week against Pittsburgh. We're not going to a playoff. We're not winning the ACC. And these are things that are hard, tough, difficult, painful realities for a team that isn't used to these kind of struggles. So I'm not sure we get Clemson's focus, Clemson's best here, and they haven't covered yet this year. So give me Florida State plus the points. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I've been on Florida State the last few weeks. I think they're playing better football. This would be a huge win, even with Clemson being down this year for Mike Norvell to get another win here. I think it's close. Yeah, like you said, Clemson can't score every game. This team can't score more than 17 points. And I talked about it. You mentioned it too, Ian. Florida State's totals have been more in the 60s, but I've taken the under in all these Clemson games. It went over by a point in that OT game against NC State, but I only be on the under and Florida State here, nothing else.
All right, Big Ragoo, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi.
Hey, no, I don't mean that. I mean, are you with us?
Oh, yeah. Am I with you? Of course I'm with you. I ripped up everything a couple weeks ago. Now I'm not a fair weather fan. I've been with this team for a long time, but I'm not going to make a fan bet. Well, let's try to break it down somewhat intelligently as a handicapper gambler, right? But okay, Clemson's offense, 115th in the nation. DJ Ukulele, I'll call him. He might be playing the violin after this game, singing a sad song. But I'm going to put Clemson on upset alert in this spot here. I think a lot of things are going right for FSU. The defense can be suspect, like you say, but how do you get a defense right? You play a bad offense. How you get a good bad offense right? You play a bad defense. So there's some tug of war going on here. But I think marginally speaking, the way the direction of football is going for both programs, I think Florida State's ticking up, Clemson's ticking down. And, usually these teams, they have the hangover. and a lot of teams don't bounce back. So this could be a good spot for FSU to get the cover and get the win possibly.
Yeah, and also a yards per play margin. Florida State better the last 3 games than Clemson. So keep that. There's definitely some progress being made with Florida State right now in terms of improvement down the stretch. Boss, what do you think?
I'm gonna stay away from this game. I talked about it last week. Here we go again. Clemson 7-0 to ATS, and they're still coming up with ways for you to bet Clemson. Why would you put them? You trying to give them 9-point value? Why? They haven't showed 9-point value all year. So I think it's just another real trappy spot right here. And I like FSU. I like that they turning this ship around and all that good stuff, but they still young kids. And Clemson still plays a tough defense. They might be a little too much for them on defense, but I'm not buying in because I think it's a trick spot.
Not buying in. I thought I'd been tricked for 7 weeks betting against Clemson, and the trick's on the books apparently.
Right.
So I'm riding with it. We'll see how it goes if they can cash one more time. Colorado, Oregon, 24.5-point home favorites, 49.5 the total. I'm not going to go into any sort of detail here. I don't want to lay this many with Oregon. They don't have the kind of offense now that I trust in this kind of price range, but I'm not really enamored with going with Colorado and that weak offense against this pretty solid Oregon defense either. So pass for me with just a lean to the under. Conor Mac, what do you think?
This is ugly. I saw this one. This was pass for me. Colorado was having a tough time even scoring, getting a touchdown. I don't know if they do here. That's just too many for me to lay with Oregon. I'd lean that way, but too many points.
Big Ragoo.
You're burning cash at both ends with both of these teams on ATS numbers. And, Colorado's got the worst offense in FBS, and the Ducks aren't setting the world on fire offensively either, but their defense can hang in there. So I don't want to be laying, better than 3 touchdowns with them.
All right, DJ Big Boss.
I'm gonna take this one blindly. Let me see here. Under. It's an underplay all day, man. Colorado's offense is horrible. Oregon offense sputters at time, but Oregon got some awesome athletes, defensive players over there. And in this one, they should be able to slow down the Colorado attack. You might even want to add Colorado team total under. They've been donutted this year already, and here they're playing a conference opponent that likes to play good defense when they're doing a good job. It's just that in these big games, Oregon just struggle. So I think they handle business today, and they keep this game under.
All right, liking the under here, and this one is Boss. Florida International, Marshall. Marshall, 21.5-point home favorite, 64 the total. Florida International has had a very, very poor defense this year. That may not bode well against Grant Wells and Marshall. And I know Marshall's offense is kind of underwhelmed at times this year, but they've gotten back on track last game against North Texas, 49 points, and off a bye week as well. And like I said, FIU, look at 54, 31, 58, 45, 34 points allowed. Not good at all. Marshall's defense is a little bit shaky at times. Hopefully, Bortenschlager, the Maryland transfer at quarterback for Florida International, can do enough things through the air. He's kind of had an up and down year. I think Marshall will score a bunch. Hopefully, Florida International can contribute. I think they can. So I like the over a little bit here at 64 with FIU Marshall. Conor Mac, anything here?
Yeah, I've looked at this one a little bit. I don't know what Marshall team you're going to get. I can't lay this many points with them, that's for sure. They've disappointed too many times. FIU's covered some of these. They're not as bad as you think. So if I had to, I'd take the points, the 3 touchdowns to 22.
Big Ragoo.
I hate to even use the word value in a game like this, but the way Marshall's, like you said, the way Marshall covers, I mean, I don't want to get to the window with them. And this team's looking for his first win. Will they get it? I don't know. Probably not. But I think they played a little tougher, believe it or not, a little tougher schedule than Marshall has. And Marshall's disappointed ATS. So I would have to say I don't get involved with games with Marshall, but you need 4 touchdowns or 4 scores with Marshall to cover. No, thank you. Give me FIU plus the points.
Yeah, I would agree. That's not a favorite I necessarily trust. And yeah, they finally did cover as chalk against North Texas. North Texas was inept in that game. I remember it. They were brutal. Boss, what do you think here?
I'm gonna be off of it because Marshall, they're kind of spotty some sections. You know, they could get out there and cover those points, and those points are there for a reason. So I wouldn't count them out against this bad team, shall I say, with the 1-6 record right here. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it alone though, totally.
All right, next up, Louisiana Tech, Old Dominion. Louisiana Tech 4-point road favorites, 52 the total. I usually like taking points, not laying points with Skip Holtz and Louisiana Tech, but I'm making an exception here because I'll say this about Louisiana Tech. They played UTSA, they played a much improved UTEP team, they played NC State. You know, they played a pretty tough schedule their last 3 games. They've taken their lumps. This is a step down for Louisiana Tech. Big step down. Old Dominion's not good. They've lost 5 in a row. They have competed well at times. They've lost some close games, but they also had some ugly results. This feels like there's more than a 4-point gap, in my opinion, still between these two teams. I like La Tech here -4. I think they get the offense going too. I mean, obviously the offense is kind of disappointed the last couple weeks, but Old Dominion's defense is probably going to be what cures this Louisiana Tech offense. So I like the over a little bit as well, 52. Big Ragoo.
Yeah, that was my look too, Ian. I'm looking at that old D defense and La Tech to kind of maybe get right here, you know, with a quality win. I think it's a good spot for them. Old Dominions, they're not that good. They're a little better at home, but I still think they're going to yield points. And I think La Tech, maybe first half and full game would be a good number.
All right, boss.
I'm gonna leave it alone. I've been trying to fade Old Dominion all year, and Old Dominion has a little bit of defense, believe it or not. And you know, Skip Holtz, I like Skip Holtz. You know, he means something to me, but it's just not getting it this year as he should. So I can't trust him, and I still think Old Dominion got some defense in them, but the line is too short to jump on Old Dominion. I need at least 15, 20 points to take Old Dominion.
All right, Southern Miss, Middle Tennessee State, MTSU 13-point home favorites, 48 the total. Southern Miss has a bye week, and that's about all the positives I can find about Southern Miss going into this game. They're still banged up at quarterback. I don't believe Ty Keys is ready to return. They could be down to the third quarterback once again, even after the bye week, and we saw this offense do nothing with him at quarterback before. On the flip side, though, is Middle Tennessee the kind of team I want to lay double digits with? Nah. It's probably a clear pass for me. Situationally, like this is kind of like Rutgers a bit, where struggling team, but they get the bye week. Maybe they hit the reset button, but at least Rutgers has shown some ability to play at times this year. I haven't seen that out of Southern Miss. So, yeah, it's a good spot for Southern Miss, but spot alone is not going to be enough for me to back them because it was pretty rough for them before the bye, and they're still banged up at quarterback. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, I looked at that. I actually went to the window with Middle Tennessee, laying the 13 points here. I just think Southern Miss has been nothing but a shit show all season long. Even though both teams have a struggling running game, you know, rushing yards are both usually under 100 yards a game. I think Middle Tennessee's got the better passing offense. Whether that bodes well to 2 touchdowns better, we'll have to wait and see. But this is just a gut play for me. And I got to the window with Middle Tennessee.
All right, good stuff. Who's knocked? Thank you for the dono. We will get to the App State game. It's coming up on our rotation very soon. Boss, what do you think?
Man, this Southern Miss team ranks among the lowest in offense, man. No way you could take them on offense to win anything. And this Middle Tennessee team, sometimes they try to go out there and get after some things. So I would lean Middle Tennessee and the under.
All right, we continue on now. Purdue, Nebraska. Nebraska 7.5-point home favorites, 53.5 the total. You know, Nebraska at times has impressed me this year, and they might be better than Purdue and maybe significantly better, as in better enough to cover this number, but they're going to have to show me. Now, they are off a bye week and 2 straight losses. It's a good setup for Scott Frost and the Nebraska team, but Purdue is a capable team. And, you know, the one thing about Purdue is they've been in most of their games this year, even the losses. The Notre Dame lost by 14, but a misleading score. Notre Dame scored late there, 7-point loss to Minnesota. They did get routed by Wisconsin last week, 30-13, but they were coming off the huge win against Iowa. I could only look Purdue plus 7.5 here. This is usually the point spread roll I like for Jeff Brom's team, and I don't trust Nebraska in this price range. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Well said there with the little bit of the you know, not the hangover, but the over celebration, the Iowa game, and that got beat up by Wisconsin a little bit. But there's a good spot for for Purdue here. Catching the points better than touchdown half, and a very capable team hanging there defensively. I think so. Might be a little bit too many points to lay with Nebraska. Good spot for Purdue.
All right, Boss. Boss is frozen, I think. Boss is frozen. So
Boss is frozen.
we'll see if we can get him back. We'll move on, though, next to TCU and Kansas State. K-State, 3.5-point home favorites, 58.5 the total. It's the Big Ragoo and Bobano show, apparently, right now. So we'll see if we can get Boss and Conor Mac back in here. Look, I like K-State here.
There he is.
Go ahead. Yeah, Boss, go ahead.
Oh, that was me. They jumped out. Yeah, like I said, I don't know how hot Scott Frost's seat is right here. He might have to save his job at home right here. He's done well at home. His Achilles heel is on the road. So I would stay away from it because
There he goes again.
There he goes again. Freaking internet, man. Never fails. But TCU, Kansas State, Big Ragoo. I mean, I can't make a case for TCU. They've been disappointing. They've been underwhelming. The defense has been awful. This was supposed to be one of his better defenses. Makes me think Gary Patterson's kind of losing his coaching touch a little bit because they were raving about this defense coming into the year. It's going to be so good, and it's been nothing but a disaster for TCU. Another bad defensive game against a West Virginia offense that isn't anything, like Oklahoma or Texas or anybody else in that conference, but still struggling on defense. They've been a money burner, 1-5 ATS their last 6 games. Kansas State back home after a thrilling from behind win against Texas Tech last week, 25-24. They are a better team now with Skylar Thompson back at quarterback for the Wildcats. So I would only look to the K-State side here. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, I used to call TCU the Big 10, 12 of the Big 10 team of the Big 12. Their defense was pretty gnarly. They always played up on defense. Offensively is where their struggles, but they're living more in the offensive lane than they are this past year, anyways. And Manhattan's a tough place to go in and play and beat K-State, especially if you're going to go in there with a little bit of defense on your mind. But I think it sets up well for K-State to walk away with the W. I'm not crazy about laying, the 3.5, but I think they get the W. I would probably play a K-State money line. That's a good spot for them here.
All right, Boss.
I like K-State as well in this one. TCU is doing bad. 1-5-1 ATS, 3-4 for the season. It's at the time of the season where players start jumping ship, so forth and so on. I'm gonna take the home team in this one and take K-State.
All right, we move on now to Texas Tech, Oklahoma. Oklahoma, 19-point home favorite, 67 the total in this one. See, I'm pretty confident Oklahoma is going to score in this game, with especially now Caleb Williams. He's been just terrific at quarterback. I know the Kansas game, they were a little bit sleepy. That was definitely a lackluster, go through the motions type of game for Oklahoma. Maybe we get them back on track here. I don't know what we get from Columby, though, and Texas Tech. So for that reason, I lean over, but I might look more toward a 43.5 with that Oklahoma team total over instead. Maybe they can get to the mid-40s. They certainly could, because I remember Texas Tech earlier this year giving up huge points to Texas and TCU, and Oklahoma's got that potential. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, like you said, a sleepy game after the coming off the bench, big win, and they were totally focused in that next game. But the game last week, they kind of had a little bit of letdown offensively speaking. So yeah, I think they kind of regroup, rally the troops here. I think they'll put up a big effort against Texas Tech. I don't want to lay the 3 touchdowns, but it ought to be a fun game. And the thing about Texas Tech, you don't know which team you're going to get. Especially after the firing Wells and the interim coach stepping in and Columby. So it's got to be Oklahoma or pass in the spot.
Yeah, the team total might be what I look toward more than anything. 43.5, and Texas Tech's defense gave up 52 to TCU and 70 earlier this year to Texas. So, if those teams are getting 52 plus on you, Oklahoma could get 45 or more here. It's very plausible. Boss, what do you think?
Hey, for all of those that watch this show on the regular out here, you already know that's way too much drama going on for me. I can't deal with the firing of the coach. I think it was unwarranted. I mean, they lost by 1 point or something last week, and they come back and fire the guy. And then, I still don't totally agree with what they're doing at quarterback over there at Oklahoma, just putting the young guy above the other guy. They don't even give him a chance to come back in and right his wrongs. So I'm totally off this game. Way too much drama.
And you don't want no drama in his life,
Don't
boss.
want no
He's said
drama.
that many times. Yeah. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Is it still okay to say that? Well, if it isn't, tough
Too
shit. I'm
bad.
saying it anyway.
Right.
Georgia and Florida. Georgia 14-point favorites here in Jacksonville. It's that annual game between these two teams in Jacksonville. 51 the total. So I've tried to talk myself into the over in this game just because I think Georgia will move the ball. Everybody thinks Georgia's defense. And yeah, they may shut down Florida, but I think Georgia's offense against the Florida defense, we just saw them give up 49 in a game against LSU, not too recently. Stetson Bennett's going to be at quarterback, it looks like. JT Daniels is available for Georgia, but he's going to back up Stetson Bennett today. But Stetson Bennett's been moving the ball well. They've been running it well. They've been throwing it. He's been throwing it pretty accurately, as good as I've ever seen from him. And Florida's defense, I don't trust them against a good offense and a good team. So I think they'll give up their points. The question is, can you get enough from Florida offensively against this Georgia defense with Emory Jones, with Anthony Richardson, whoever the quarterback ends up being? Mullen might end up playing both here in this game. That ends up being the question mark. But I think with Florida and the mobile quarterback element, it gives them at least a puncher's chance to maybe the misdirection comes into play. Misdirection, reverse plays against this Georgia defense. Just try to get them flowing side to side. See if you can get some things going that way with your play calling. Maybe you can punch in 7, 10, 13, 14 points. And if you do that, I think it's reasonable to expect Georgia can get you 38 or so, and there's over the total for you. So I would lean that way. Again, I think Florida can, at least with this game being a neutral field game, can do something offensively to help you out, because I think we think of Georgia's defense as elite. They are, but this could be a game where Georgia's offense really does bust out. So that's why I'm tempted by the over here. Big Ragoo, what do you think? Georgia, Florida.
Well, if you're thinking about the over, that kind of helps my play out in this spot. Just right off the cuff, I got to hang out with Jeff Demps yesterday. You remember Jeff Demps when he played with
I do, the Tebow Urban Meyer
what,
days.
What a fantastic individual, and shout out to Jeff. I know you're not watching the show, but I'll send you the link one day to watch it back. But anyways, we got a classic matchup here. You can take all the records. This is just one of those rivalries that goes down in infamy for no matter what the records are going to be. You can throw it to the wind, even though we know how stout Georgia's defense is. I was looking at a way to bet it, and I did look at the over. But you know what? I looked at something else. I know that we're probably going to see two quarterbacks, and we're going to see some scheming. We're going to see some trickery here. And it always comes out in these games, and there's always a big play one way or the other, defensively, offensively, which bodes the point. So my look here is Florida. First half, 7.5 points, team total over -120. I think Florida gets at least 10 points in the first half. You can take Alabama's defense, 6 points. Georgia's defense, 6 points a game. Florida will find a way to score here, and they do it early, and they'll get over 7.5 points.
All right, over 7.5 first half team total Florida. Very interesting. That's going to help for the over for me. You're right, because if they get to 10 points or something, that's going to be, I think, a big benefit for the full game over. Because I think Georgia can get 38-42 against this Florida team. I really do, because we just saw Florida give up 49 to LSU recently. And yeah, Jeff Demps and Tim Tebow and Aaron Hernandez and Chris Rainey. I mean, those were great. That was a great Florida.
Hey, little quick story. I know we're going to pass it on to DJ, but when Demps played, he played a little bit of pro ball. He only played one time on the field, but he passed on the combine to run for the Olympics. He ran a 4.1840, which is insane. So he got a silver medal for the 440, but he was leading his leg when he got the silver medal. So shout out to Jeff.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely blazing speed he had, no doubt. Boss, what do you think? Georgia, Florida.
I'm gonna stick with the under in this one, man. I'm gonna keep riding that Georgia defense is top tier. No need to doubt it at this point. Florida's been playing a lot of close games as well. They want to run the ball to open up the pass, but that Georgia front defensive line, I think it's big number 99. I think they say he's 6'5", 340. Man, he's gonna control things down there for sure. So I'm leaning under in this one. I think the number's a little high as well.
All right, leaning toward the under with Georgia, Florida. All right, UL Monroe, Appalachian State. App State, 27-point home favorites, 57.5 the total in this game. App State has played their best football at home, but am I ready to lay 27 with them in this spot? after a huge win against Coastal last week. It's not an App State spot. And look, Monroe's covered 2 in a row and won outright as dogs 2 in a row. I thought there'd be a hangover after Liberty. It did not happen. 41-31. I mean, we got to give Terry Bowden some credit. It's a miracle, to be honest with you. Monroe's 4-3.
Right.
You know, the fact that they're a winning they have a winning record. They have wins against Liberty and South Alabama in back-to-back weeks on their resume, and a win against Troy, you know, earlier in the year as double-digit dogs. I could only look UL Monroe. This has clearly been an undervalued team. Clearly, they're playing with a great degree of confidence right now. It would be UL Monroe or nothing for me with all these points. But I feel like I'm finally going to jump on Monroe, and they'll get romped today. That's the one thing I fear. But I could only look Monroe here. We got Conor Mac with us again.
Yeah.
What do you think here? ULM App State.
Yeah, this could be a move like if you want to jump on UNLV and then they get their ass whipped, like last night.
Yes,
exactly.
You know, what team's going to show up? Like you said, they beat Troy, horrible losses to Coastal and Georgia State, and then wins against Liberty and South Alabama. I'm not going to lay it with App State. You talk about there's a flat spot. I know they're still at home. Seems like a get in, get out type win. I lean the points with Monroe, but I don't know if I pull the trigger.
Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I'm with Conor. I'm 100% with Conor. But I mean, shout out to Bowden, what he's done in the short term, get that program, you know, back respectable, you know, to play up and down. You know, that's expected first year coaching, but especially as flat as UL Monroe has been for years and years and years. So, yep, it's either take the points or pass. But I'm going to pass.
Am I still here?
I think Chandler Rogers is not going to relinquish the quarterback job either for Monroe. He's playing because of an injury to the starter, Rhett Rodriguez, Rich's son, and he's played great. What a game. I mean, he's played and gotten even better every week. So I think it's his job now.
And Rich is on that staff too, isn't he? Isn't he offensive guy?
Yeah. Yeah, Rich Rod's the OC here at ULM, definitely. Boss, what do you like here?
Hey, I kind of like what Terry Bowden's doing over there a little bit, and also to play in that favor, you got App State coming off of that big game. Even though they are at home, could be one of those games they just want to get out with the win, get a backdoor cover.
You're muted.
Oh, mute.
You're muted, Ian.
This might be one of those games, guys, where you end up just going ULM money line plus 1,500 and hope for the best. You know,
that'd be nice.
Sprinkle, why not?
Little sprinkle, why not? Because they just won outright as 32.5-point dogs against Liberty, 13.5-point dogs against South Alabama. They beat Troy when they were 23.5-point dogs. Yeah, they have the one loss against Coastal where they got ripped 59-6. So could it be I think that's probably what it is. They're going to win this game outright as huge dogs, or they're going to lose 59-6. It's probably going to be one of the two here. It's wide variance type of game against App State. It's actually kind of fascinating to see how this one goes. Duke and Wake Forest. Wake, 16.5-point home favorites, 71.5 the total. I love the way that game resulted for me last week with Wake against Army. Wake in the over, and boy, I didn't have to sweat either one of those. What was it, 70-52 or something like that? I mean,
56.
crazy. And Army, credit to them, they moved the football on the ground throughout the game. They just couldn't stop Wake. And that's the problem with those teams, Army, Air Force, Navy. They have bad secondaries, terrible against the pass, and they got picked apart throughout that game. Sam Hartman, a good ground game, great receivers, Jelani Roberson leading them there in the receiver. I think it's too much for Duke. I'd lean to lay in the points. A lot of points, but I think Wake's offense could run over this Duke defense. I lean Wake. I lean over. Conor Mac, what do you think? Duke and Wake.
Yeah, I think it's Wake or pass here. I talked about it a little bit last week. Some of these teams are the best first half teams. Wake's one of them. I think they're 7th or 8th. I look at them first half. I think it's just 8. So I think Duke is not going to hang around here. Wake.
Big Ragoo.
I'm going to go contrarian on this, guys, with you. I think if the number is 70 on the total?
Yep.
Okay, so last week, you know, Wake was putting the points up, got to hurry up. Army's defense secondary. We get more of the same here with Duke. Duke's defense isn't that great, but Duke can score a lot more than Army can quickly. And I think Wake's the demise in this game with Wake's is going to be the defense for the total. And if you like the over, you got to like Duke because Duke's going to help them push it up there. So I would take Duke plus the points. 3 scores. Give me Duke plus 16.5, 17, whatever it is.
All right, liking the dog here. Wyoming, San Jose State. San Jose State 3-point home favorites, 40.5 the total in this game. I'm finished with Wyoming. At least offensively, I'm done with Wyoming. I mean, that was when you're only scoring 3 points and then 0 points against Fresno and New Mexico the last 2 games. That's awful. I mean, the offense is just completely collapsed
Pathetic.
for Wyoming. Pathetic. Under. That's the only way you could go in this game. I know it's a low total, 40.5, but it's the only way I could go. And San Jose State's a better defense than offense right now. Nick Nash is a very limited quarterback. They're still probably going to be without Nick Starkel. This has under low scoring written all over it. I'd actually lean San Jose State. I think this is at home, laying only a field goal. I know they've taken their lumps this year, but Wyoming, I don't trust that offense on the road at all. They failed to cover in 4 straight. At least San Jose State's covered 2 in a row. I lean San Jose State. I lean under. Connor, what do you think?
I'm the same. I lean San Jose State and the under. That I don't know if you could get any worse, but that was rough. I watched that whole fourth quarter Wyoming game. Whew. No, still nothing to do with them for a while.
No offense. Big Ragoo, what do you think here?
Yeah, it's got to be a San Jose or pass, even with Starkel, questionable. Even if he's doubtful, I mean, field goal at home, inept offense. Give me San Jose.
All right, Charlotte, Western Kentucky. We've got Western Kentucky 17.5-point home favorites, 72.5, 73 the total. It should be high scoring. It could get over the total. It's a high number. That's the only concern, but over's the only way I would go in this game. Charlotte does have some backdoor potential, though. I mean, it's one of those teams that usually when they're double-digit underdogs like this, I'm interested in Charlotte when they're getting this number of points. I mean, double-digit dogs against Illinois. They lost by 10. They just got inside the number. They were dogs against Duke. They won. And they haven't lost a game. Well, they lost to FAU big last week, 38-9. But other than that, it's been difficult to beat this team by margin. Western Kentucky, obviously, they're exclusively an air raid offense. And when you look at Charlotte's defense has actually been better against the pass than it's been against the run. So maybe that benefits them here. Lean Charlotte, lean over for me. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm off this one. I just think it's too many points. When I think of Western Kentucky, that offense is great. They can throw it, but I don't want to lay 17.5 with them. This would be the dog in Charlotte or pass.
Should be a fun game. Good quarterback play. I like both of them. Chris Reynolds for Charlotte, and of course Bailey Zappi for Western Kentucky, who's had a great year. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, we know the books are starting to catch up with Western Kentucky with the totals. There's an uphill climb every week. They seem to get there more often than not. But the thing that I'm looking at Charlotte here is they got to cover. They win, cover, win, cover, win. I mean, loss, win. Loss, win, loss, win. So they're in the cycle of a win for the cover. Like every other week they cover, every other week they don't. So this is the cover week for them, and they're catching points in the big number. Give me Charlotte.
All right, liking Charlotte, boss. Charlotte, Western Kentucky.
I'm not willing to take Charlotte with that Western Kentucky offense, man. But Charlotte's defense is pretty good right there. That one's one I really like to just watch that game. I'm gonna be off on that one.
All right, we got Arkansas State, South Alabama. South Alabama 9.5-point home favorite, 65.5 the total in this game. Watch out now for Arkansas State, and I'm not saying that jokingly because they're 1-6. They've had a tough year. Their only win was against a Central Arkansas, an FCS team, but they were awful. They weren't covering. They weren't stopping anybody on defense. They had a bye week going into the Louisiana Cajuns game last week. And all of a sudden, they started getting some stops, and they were right in that game start to finish. It's almost like they used that bye week, that mid to late season bye week that teams have in college football as a reset button. Maybe they're a little bit of an undervalued team now. Maybe if they could turn last week's competitive effort against the Cajuns, into a sign that maybe this team's going to have a little bit of a run in them in the second half, then that means there's value, tons of value with Arkansas. So I'm leaning to the dog here, to the Red Wolves, getting 9.5. And South Alabama's offense is still not one that I'm fully confident in laying points, and they've not necessarily been great laying bigger points. You look at South Alabama, 14.5 points, they barely win. 21.5 points against Alcorn State, they barely win. 13.5 points against Monroe last week, they lose outright. So maybe this is a buy low, and after showing signs of life after the bye week, I'd look Arkansas State here plus the points. What do you think, Connor?
They're just so inconsistent, you know. They lost by 5 to Memphis earlier in the year. They played Tulsa pretty good. Then they just get blown out. And then last week, against the Cajuns, they played well. Their defense, their best all year long. A difficult one. I take the points with them or pass. I just can't lay with South Alabama. They have not been good laying points in almost double digits. So, give me the dog or pass.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, only pause I have on Arkansas State is their defense. Giving up almost 600 yards a game. That could, but then again, we're talking double digits either way. So it's a pass for me, but I would probably take the points if you put a gun in my head.
And James Blackman's still out, the Florida State transfer for Arkansas State. So it'll be still Lane Hatcher, a quarterback for Arkansas State. Once again, Boss, what do you think?
When I looked at this game, it was like immediate that 9 was just way too large for South Alabama. I mean, they've been eating off of playing good defense, and this Arkansas State team, they like to score to the end of the game. They'll keep pulling the trigger all the way to the last second. So with that many points in between, I couldn't do nothing but take Arkansas State plus the points.
All right. Next up, we've got Georgia State, Georgia Southern. Georgia State 6-point road favorites, 55.5 the total in this game. I lean to the favorite here. Not enough to bet it. I'm going to just leave it at that. Connor, what do you think? Georgia State, Georgia Southern.
Oh, this was a dead pass for me. Nothing here. I want neither of these teams. If I had to, like Ragoo says, gun to my head, I'll take the dog with Georgia Southern, but I'm off.
Big Ragoo.
This is a coin flip game here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you take the dog money line and they went outright. But at first on paper I say Georgia Southern, but I think Georgia Southern. I mean, Georgia Southern is a dog in this spot, so that was my first look. They're playing at home, so flip the coin and take money line Georgia Southern.
Yeah, welcome into Noli Knows in the chat. Good to see him joining us here. Boss, what do you think here with Georgia State Southern?
I'm not sure if anybody mentioned yet, but is this officially rival week? Because this is another rival game right here. Not one that I really want to touch right here, but if you had to say which one were the better of the two, you definitely have to take Georgia State.
All right, we have UTEP and Florida Atlantic next up. Florida Atlantic, 11 to 12-point home favorites, 48.5 the total in this game. What a job by UTEP here. 4 straight win. Now, you could argue it's not been a good schedule. The Louisiana Tech game was pretty impressive, though, and they're off a bye week as well going into this game. So is Florida Atlantic, but they played not really, actually. They played a weeknight game last week, so it's not a bye for Florida Atlantic. It is for UTEP. UTEP's won 4 straight, covered 4 straight. I say ride the wave, and I say go mining for units here with UTEP. Plus the points here in this one. Dana Dimmel's done a great job with the program this year. Hardison's a capable quarterback. They've got a solid run game. Defense is not great, but it's definitely improved compared to what it was last year. Florida Atlantic has had some dominant performances. They've also had some head-scratching, terrible losses, and it's been good week, bad week, good week, bad week, good week. This might be their bad week here. I think we have a live dog. UTEP plus the points. Lean over. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, it's UTEP plus the points for me too. I think Florida Atlantic's a little bit better, but 3 or 4 points. This is too many points here. Give me UTEP. I'll go mining for units with you there, Ian.
All right, let's go mining. We get that axe out. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Let's keep chopping that axe out because I'm all over UTEP in this game. If they've been friendly to me and profitable for me all season long, I'm not going to jump off. I mean, they're giving up less than 100 yards a game, under 300 yards a game in total. I mean, that's tough to beat. Until I lose, I'm riding that train. UTEP all the way and a sprinkle on the money line.
And a sprinkle on the money, of course. By the way, every dog I mention on the show, I've got a little piece of the money line. Every single one. It's a small piece. Usually 5 to 10% of the overall bet is on the money line. Boss, what do you think here?
I'm going over in this game, first half and full game. Both teams, UTEP is off a bye, but FAU's off playing on a Thursday night, so they got a little rest in this one. These two haven't met since 2016 right here. We got a 4th-year coach versus a 2nd-year coach, and Dana Demo says that he's expecting to pass today, and that's all I needed to hear was, the coach is already expecting to pass. They had a little time to prepare, so I expect them to put up points and put them up fast. That's why I'm going first half over and full game over.
All right. Yeah, I like it. UTEP has faced a soft slate of opposing offenses. This will be one of the better offenses they've played. So that's why I kind of like the over as well in this one. All right. Oregon State and Cal. Oregon State, 1.5-point road favorites, 55.5 the total in this one. I'm drinking the Jonathan Smith Oregon State Kool-Aid here. I like Oregon State. I think they go on the road and beat Cal. Cal is one of those teams that, I like them as dogs, and they are dogs here, but I like them as bigger dogs. And asking them to win the game, I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure that Oregon State isn't the better of these two teams right now. Nolan's been good at quarterback. The run game, the offense has been good. Their defense is still a little hit or miss, but is Cal's offense and Garber's the kind of offense to take advantage of it? I don't know about that. I think Oregon State, even on the road, can go in there, I was impressed with their game against Utah last week. Very impressed with the Beavers. I think they chomp down and get the win here too. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, my Beavers getting a little love finally. They're playing good football. Yeah, with Cal, I need way more points with them to take them. So this spot here, it'd only be Oregon State. They have the better offense. Cal's defense is still good. This should be a good one. So lean Oregon State here.
Big Ragoo.
It's a tricky spot for me. I tried to find a side, but Oregon State has some road struggles, ATS, and so doesn't Cal, even though we kind of like Cal as a dog. At home, they're like 1-3 ATS, so I couldn't come up with value either way, so I pass.
All right, boss.
Oregon State is definitely the better team. Cal's right there even. They're giving up 23 points, and they're scoring 23 points. Oregon State's actually averaging 35 a game and giving up 24 to the other team. So I definitely feel that Oregon State is the better team in this one. And it's hard to trust Cal. Each week they come out, at a different level, I guess you could say. But this time they are at home, so that might make a difference. But overall, I'd have to take Oregon State. They're the better team.
All right, Arizona, USC, the Trojans 22-point home favorites, 55.5 the total. Easy pass. Easy pass for me. I can't lay this many with USC right now. Back-to-back losses to Notre Dame and Utah. And I would lean Arizona, but here's the problem. And Arizona did take Washington down to the wire last week, 17-point dogs. They lost by 5, but that was at home. They played 2 road games this year, 41-19 loss at Oregon, 34-0 loss at Colorado. So I just cannot trust Arizona on the road either. Easy pass. Conor Mac?
No, you said everything I was going to say. Like I could only take them maybe at home catching this many points. No way I'm going to lay this with SC. Yeah. This is just a pass for me. There's a lot of Pac-12 passes.
Exactly. The more I watch Keaton Slovis, the more I'm unimpressed. Connor, Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, that 34-0 loss to Colorado tells you the whole story about Arizona's season right there. And I don't trust USC to get to the number. So, adios, amigos.
How about boss?
Oh man, this is one of my plays today. So
let's hear it.
I've been
all right, let's go.
I've been watching the teams that play Notre Dame the game after. They don't cover or they lose outright, and this is true with everybody except for Cincinnati, and we already know what Cincinnati can do. So the coach over at USC said he wished he had another quarter he could beat Notre Dame. So he's still thinking in the past. So he's already out there a little bit too much. Now over on the Arizona side, they said they're gonna try something different using wide receiver Jamari Joyner at wildcat position to create some offense over there. But the impressive thing about Arizona is that their pass defense, they're only giving up 176 in the air with their pass defense. And we know USC can't run. They have to rely on big plays in the pass. So I think that in this little hangover spot after Notre Dame, although they are at home, they play an Arizona team that's been doing really bad. I don't think Arizona could just upright beat them, but I think that they can hold them within the 21. So I'm going to take AZ plus the 21 just in the hangover spot after Notre Dame and off the fact that Arizona plays a little bit of pass defense and that they're going to be trying something different to control the ball on offense.
I'd like to see it on the road.
Yeah,
I hope you.
But I hear about the Notre Dame stat. That has rung true this year. That after playing Notre Dame, teams have struggled for whatever reason, and that would lead you to Arizona.
Hey, when you play the best, it takes a lot out of you.
Let's bump the brakes a little bit on that kind of talk. You're a proud fan. I'll give you that. All right, next up we've got Next up, let me see. I've lost our spot here. Where are we? Oh, here we go. Kansas, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State 29-point home favorites, 54.5. It's another pass for me. I mean, I don't want it to Kansas in this game against a great defense, which Oklahoma State has. But for Oklahoma State, you played Texas, Iowa State, 2 barn burners in a row. Are you really going to be, at your best to cover this kind of big number? I'm not sure. So it's a pass. Conor Mac.
Pass. I lean under maybe a little bit in this one. Yeah, I think Kansas kind of played their Super Bowl last week. They finally got a cover, hung there with Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
this will be tough for them. Yeah, this will be tough for you, but I don't like laying 30 with Oklahoma State here. So pass, but lean under on this total.
Yeah, you're right. Kind of offense like the Oklahoma State in this kind of price range that I trust. But you're right about could be a flat spot for Kansas too, because they gutted it out against Oklahoma and made that game a lot more interesting than we thought. Maybe they have the hangover too. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, the books are begging you to lay that number with that huge number, 30.5, 31. I mean, 5 straight covers in a row for Oak State, and they're defensively solid. Just like I say, I would lean towards the under if anything. Maybe Kansas State comes out a little flat, and Oak State just tries to get it done with defense and not run it up.
All right, boss.
Oh, and this one right here, I was watching the damn chat.
Kansas, Oklahoma State, yeah.
Oh yeah, Oklahoma State, and this one right here, that was an easy one for me. Like if you out here on a Saturday and you is on the 9th week and you looking forward and laying 29 points with Oklahoma State, you've been drinking too much early in the morning, man. Give up on that one. That's a pass.
All right, early best bets. Yeah, we'll throw it out there for the noon kickoffs. For me, it's probably Miami Pitt over 60.5. Iowa honorable mention as well, but I'll go Miami Pitt over. Big Ragoo, an early best bet, the noon games.
Pittsburgh over 18 points first half.
There you go. Boss, any early best bet? Don't have to have one if you don't like anything.
Mine's is the under in the Miami game, under 61.
There we go. A little head-to-head with me. All right, Conor Mac, best bet, early games.
In the early ones, Michigan State, take the points. The game will be close, and lean under in it.
Yep, like that, Michigan State too. All right, we move on now to, as we continue on, Kentucky and Mississippi State. Mississippi State 1.5-point home favorites, 47 the total in this game. Money's come in on Mississippi State consistently. I'm kind of not on board with that. I like Kentucky. I've liked Kentucky all year. I thought they hung in there well with Georgia, as well as you could possibly ask. I don't trust the Bulldogs necessarily, even though they beat up Vanderbilt last week. We're going to get excited. I think the better defense is still Kentucky. Yeah, it's on the road at night in Starkville. It'll be a good environment, ringing those damn cowbells. You know you're going to hear it, but I like Kentucky here. I still think better defense, better overall more well-rounded group. Give me Kentucky here. Conor Mac, what do you think? Kentucky, Mississippi State.
Well, shout out to Sterling Gentry. I also bet Baylor. I bet Baylor at 2.5. So that's my other one.
Baylor and over. I like those two in the Texas Baylor game. Yep.
I have them minus 2.5. This one, I'm going to stay off. I've gone back and forth, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to stay off this game.
There you go.
Nothing wrong with that. Big Ragoo.
Same here, Connor. I try to go up and down with it. I know Kentucky's covered both times on the road. They're 2-0 on the road as a dog and a favorite. And then Mississippi State, we know they've had some struggles at home covering the number, but they're a defensive-minded squad. So I'll have to lean under, but I'm off the game.
All right, boss.
Man, I lean big bad Kentucky, and I also lean the over in this one. But the funniest thing I seen this week was you got to go check out Mike Leach's thing on Halloween candy. That was hilarious to me.
I saw that. That was funny.
He's done that before. He's talked about Halloween candy specifically. It is hysterical. Yeah.
Oh man, that's his thing right there. I don't know, but I like what Kentucky's been doing.
He is.
Yeah, I like what Kentucky's been doing too. So I'm on Kentucky here in this one. All right, we go to SMU and Houston. This is one of the best non-Power 5 games of the day here. SMU and Houston. Pick 'em 61.5 the total. I liked SMU a little bit. I mean, I've been really, really liking SMU's game. I respect what Houston's doing, but I like it. I like SMU a lot. They're 7-0. They're playing extremely well. Now it's a ranked team though. Pick 'em on the road. That part does bother me. Houston's unranked, and Houston's played almost every bit as good as SMU this year. But this Tanner Mordecai-led Mustang offense hasn't been stopped by anybody this year. And the one thing about Houston, their defensive numbers look good, but they played Tulsa, they played Navy, they played Rice. They've played not a lot of great offenses. They played East Carolina, pretty solid offense. They finally struggled a bit. And then, of course, Texas Tech early in the year, they gave up 38 points. So this is going to be as good as any offense they've played. I think SMU can score enough. I think Houston will score on SMU's defense because SMU's defense is a little shaky. And Clayton Tune has played a lot better this year at quarterback for the Cougars. So I like the over here more than anything at 61.5. What do you think, Conor Mac?
I went over this all week. We talked about this on Monday. It's a coin flip for me as well, but I'm still sticking to the other side. If I were to pick, I'd be on Houston in this matchup at home. I think their defense is a little bit better.
I wouldn't argue with that. But again, this will be one of the best offenses they've played since Tech, and that's that game where they gave up 38. So we'll see if they can handle this SMU attack. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a tough ask either way for both squads because it's going to be like a tug of war. You know, you're going to have the, like you said, maybe the level of play that Houston's faces maybe been a little more inferior, a quality opponent versus SMU, but it's still, you know, they're still putting the product on the field, I think. So I think the number's right where it needs to be, and I think the total is. So I'm just going to sit back and watch. And I know what my boss is going to say about the Texas matchup, right, boss?
I usually like that Texas over, but this one I'm going the other way. I'm liking the under in this one, under 62.
Oh, my goodness.
Houston's that team that plays that defense and slows the game down, you know. So SMU's out here fighting to survive and stay alive. So this one right here, SMU gets a little rest because they played last week on Thursday. And Sonny Dyke said he's taking this one serious right here. And the problem with Houston, despite their offense being kind of slow, they're a little banged up, including the quarterback that they're going to be starting, Clayton Tune. He's a little banged up as well. So going with this bad offense, good defense, I'm loving the under right there, but I'm taking SMU to win this game.
SMU, there you go, buddy.
I like the way you did that. Ole Miss and Auburn.
I learned that from Big Ragoo. That's Big Ragoo taught me that one.
There you go. All right.
SMU.
I like it. SMU. Ole Miss and this is another good game in the SEC. Auburn 3-point home favorite, 67.5 the total. Man, everybody's in love with Auburn all of a sudden. And you know, pick them up to -3. And I know Matt Corral's been banged up. That's playing a part in the Auburn line movement here in this game. And they're at home. They've usually played good. And Bo Nix has played well at home. But Bo Nix is playing well everywhere lately, though. On the road, at home, he's definitely improved. This is clearly the best year he's had for this Auburn team. They've won 3 out of their last 4. The only loss to Georgia. And, you know, Ole Miss, 3 straight wins. Their only loss was to Alabama. I don't know. I think we're getting – I like what Auburn's done. Don't get me wrong, but I think we're getting a little bit carried away now. Remember, going into the year, you would have said Ole Miss and Auburn, October 30th, give me Ole Miss +3 in that game. You said, wow, because I would have definitely had Ole Miss better than Auburn going into the year. There's no doubt Auburn's improving. I get it. I'm not ready to lay 3 with Auburn here, even at home. Matt Corral sounds like he should be healthier this week. I'd lean Ole Miss here +3. The total's going up, and Auburn's found an offense. 38, 34, 24, 3 of their last 4 games. I don't know if that defense is going to completely slow down Ole Miss, who have scored 31+ in 3 straight. So I kind of get why the total's going up. And look, this is the lowest Ole Miss total since the 67 against Arkansas, and that game flew over the total. So I lean over. I lean Ole Miss. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, initially I leaned under, and this is why it's dropped. So I really don't have anything on the total. Yeah, Bo Nix is playing good football, whether it's on the road or at home. I liked Auburn as a pick'em. You know, I didn't play it. This is moved to 3. Ole Miss is banged up. You know, a lot of guys are hurt. You talked about Corral being banged up, but a lot of defensive guys are banged up in the secondary. It's just a lean to Auburn here. It's just now at 3. It's going to be a pass for me.
Big Ragoo.
I'm going to lean the other way. I'm going to lean Ole Miss, even though they have their injuries. I'm going to say that Lane is going to match wits with Herson here, and maybe probably come out on top in this game. But I'm not getting to the window with it. But it ought to be a fun game to watch, that's for sure.
Right, boss.
Man, Big Ragoo took the words right out of my mouth, man. This one, I think, comes down to a coaching battle. And we can't keep talking about Bo Nix playing like a stud this year. If you don't mention that he's under, Harsin now. Harsin, he has a good method. I mean, he's a proven coach. He leaves Boise and they're doing bad. He goes over here, they're doing good. I give it to him. But he's going up against Kiffin, who's been tried and tested and been through all the battles. And, even though they have a lot of injuries, they got a lot of depth over there. They got a lot of speed. They got a lot of good athletes. And we've been taking the Ole Miss, and we're going to continue to take Ole Miss in this one.
All right, good stuff. Next up, we've got Boise State, Colorado State. Boise State 2.5-point road favorites, 52 the total. It's Boise off a bye. I like that kind of spot for them, but I've not been enamored with Boise from start to finish this year. I like the situation, how it sets up for them. I don't know if I want to lay points with them on the road despite that. And Colorado State kind of back down to earth, losing to Utah State. They had a good run, but I'm still not an Adazio fan or just a fan of this team in general. So it's a pass for me. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not a huge Adazio fan either. I'd lean them. I wanted more points with Colorado State in this one. 2.5 not enough. I definitely need more than a field goal. But on the total, under. Give me the under here. I think it stays under 51.5.
All right, Big Ragoo.
That's where I'm at with Connor. I'm on the under on this spot here. I think it bodes well for both of them. The style of play, the matchup, and that's where my indicators pointed to the under. I'm under 51.5.
Boss.
Oh man, I get so emotional on the side because I hate Colorado so much, and I wish Boise State was a little bit better. But I like that under on the total. Colorado State has one of the best pass rushes, and Boise, when they can eat, it's only in the pass. They've been suffering from running the ball for a long time now, so it kind of plays in the hand of Colorado State. And I hate that Colorado State started off so bad, but then got so good because I was high on them at the beginning, and when they let me down, now I just can't. Once you smell something that stinks, you can't unsmell it. So I'm off the side, and I like the under in that one.
All right, good stuff. All right, we go to next up, Louisville, NC State. NC State 6-point home favorites, 56 the total. I'm kind of backtracking. On Monday's Hitting the Books with Connor, I said I kind of like NC State here, but the more I look at the injury report on defense especially, they've got a couple of their key contributors, linebacker, the defensive line. I mean, I worry about that because the one thing Louisville's been doing is scoring points lately, moving the football with Malik Cunningham and that offense. The money's come in on Louisville. I think they kind of see what I see, a little bit of a banged-up NC State defense, maybe a bounce-back spot. We saw signs of that last week with that NC State defense, a little bit suffering from injury. They let Miami go up and down the field against them last week. So money's come in on Louisville. I shifted. I was early in the week leaning NC State. I can understand now why the money's coming in on Louisville here with the points. I lean to that Louisville side. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I lean Louisville as well. This is where I like NC State, though, is back at home. We talked about on the road. They slipped up again. Not only did they cover, they lost. I lean Louisville. Cunningham's been good. Take care of the ball. They're in this ball game, and these 6 are value. I want 7, but definitely lean Louisville in the points.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I'm going to lean NC State, even though we have some injuries. You got to prove you can beat me. They're top 10 defense on the run. They're allowing 300 yards a game. And if Louisville can throw the ball around the yard a little bit, then it's going to be a game. They should get the cover, but that's what they're going to have to do here. They're still going to have to run and then put it up. But Malik Cunningham is having a season, and they finally got that ship right in Louisville. So I like both teams actually, but yeah. I would take I lean home team.
All right, it's a good game. This is an ACC Network primetime game tonight. So this and Ole Miss and Auburn. I mean, people were going to talk a lot about the Penn State-Ohio State game, which we're going to get to next. But don't sleep on Ole Miss, Auburn, and this game going on at the same time. These are good football games. Boss, what do you think?
3 weeks ago, everybody was all down on Louisville, and then last week I had a little faith in them, and now they back. They got a win under their belt, and everybody wants to jump on them, getting points right here. But NC State is 4-0 at home, and they've been playing some pretty decent ball. They're 5-2 overall. They got a little something going over there. So the fact the line setter's giving them 6, I'll go ahead and take NC State minus the 6.
All right, like an NC State there in that one. All right, Penn State, Ohio State. This is the one with Fowler and Herb Street tonight, Saturday night game on ABC. Ohio State, 16-point home favorite, 60.5 the total. in this game, 19.5, I should say, with Ohio State.
Mm.
Man, this seems like a lot of points, an adjustment, a huge adjustment after that Penn State lost Illinois. It does kind of feel that way, but at the same time, this Ohio State offense is an absolute beast right now. CJ Stroud in the passing game to Olave and Wilson and Ruckert, the tight end. The run game with Henderson. The offensive line's been terrific. They've just been piling up the points, big plays all over the place. I don't know if Penn State's going to be able to shut it down. I'm not sold, though, on Ohio State's defense yet. Yeah, they played better. No, they much better. But, I mean, you're talking about some pretty suspect offenses the last few weeks for Ohio State. Rutgers, Akron, Maryland with banged-up receiving core. Indiana with a backup quarterback. And that's been the offenses for Ohio State the last 4 weeks. Sean Clifford is better than that, those last 4 offenses they've faced. Penn State's offense is still better than anything we've seen from Ohio State's last 4 opponents. So that's pointing me to the over. Over's cashed in 3 straight involving Ohio State. You look at the Penn State-Ohio State series history. Last year we had 63 points in the game, and it was a very high-scoring affair with Clifford against this Ohio State team. I think it's probably going to be something similar. We get 63 or more, which cashes your over here. So that's what I'm looking at. I lean Ohio State from a side perspective, but I like the over more than that. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, I lean over. I haven't bet it. I think it's Ohio State. I think they're, that Penn State, that was rough last week. And Ohio State's starting to click. That offense with Stroud, those receivers, Olave. I've been big. They're top 5 team first half. I'd look Ohio State first half here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I lean to a first half over. I think both teams will get points. I don't think Ohio State's what they were defensively speaking. That they've kind of hit their strides on. Defense, they're not what they were offensively. They're hitting their stride nicely, and I think there's room for Penn State to put points up here. So I lean first half over.
All right, boss.
Man, this is one of the stupidest games on the card today. I don't like it at all. It's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde versus Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You don't know what you're going to get out of these rainbows of Skittles that they throw on the floor today. This game could go high over. It could go close under. Like, I don't even know how they put so many points in between them. But, Penn State could get rolled up and Penn State could win outright. It's just ridiculous. If anybody in the chat got an edge on this game, let me know, because I don't see no edges in this one. Just a good game to watch right here.
Yeah, and Penn State, by the way, I think they've played up tempo a little bit at times. Not supreme tempo, but they've played quick at times. And look, they've been playing in all these slog type of games lately. Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, 3 very, very pedestrian offenses. So that's another thing why I think there's value on the over. They're now going to face an explosive team, and I think their own offense can thrive getting out of one of these, dull, run-heavy type of opponents now. So that's why I think you'll see some points tonight in this game. All right, we go to North Carolina and Notre Dame. Here we go. Notre Dame, 3.5-point home favorites, 62.5 the total. I like Notre Dame. I lean over as well, because I think the one thing about North Carolina and Sam Howell, the passing game against the Notre Dame secondary could make some plays, because that's where Notre Dame's a little weaker. But I think Notre Dame will move the ball. I mean, Jack Cohen has been banged up a little bit all year, but he's hung in there and he's stayed on the field and he's moved the football well. And North Carolina defense on the road, they've had some ugly, ugly nights on the road, that North Carolina defense. So give me the Irish, give me the over here. Conor Mac, what do you think here? North Carolina, Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think the over could get there. North Carolina, I want to fade them. I've done it all year, but they've been huge favorites. Now they're catching points. It has me leaning a little bit. I'm going to pass. I lean Notre Dame, but I don't love it.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I think Notre Dame presents a little bit of value here in this spot at home. 2-2 ATS. North Carolina, this is only their second game they have to play away from home. So It's a primetime game. Notre Dame eats at home usually. It's a shorter number. I mean, all indicators are pointing Notre Dame in my book. And we'll just see if Notre Dame can take care of the football. I want to see Notre Dame establish a run a little bit more here, though. They've been struggling rushing the ball, but I think they can do it against North Carolina.
There we go. All right, boss.
Man, I don't see no reason for nobody to bet this game either, because Notre Dame, they usually play these ACC teams pretty tight because, like I said, they play them in all other sports. The total seems a little bit high at Notre Dame. You got to remember that Notre Dame is not there to beat the brakes off of people. They just want to get a nice win and sing that little slow song at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So I don't see them in there trying to score a lot of points. We struggle. Where are we going to get all those points on offense? We don't even have a steady quarterback. So I don't understand that line too much. So maybe
just the defense, though. I agree with you, boss. But North Carolina, that defense, anybody could score on them, I think.
Yeah, I don't know, but when you're switching the quarterback every other down and all kinds of situational stuff, I don't know. And then Notre Dame defense has holes in the secondary. If they were more of a running team, then I think we could slow the game down and stop them a little bit. But being that they're going to be passing with a good passer like Sam Howell he can make his Heisman. Well, I wouldn't say Heisman, but he can make his NFL highlight tape playing good against Notre Dame. That's how people approach playing Notre Dame. Everybody's going to be watching. It'd be a chance for me to do something good. So, Notre Dame could be on upset alert right here. The line is close enough to tell you, hey, I said they would lose 3 times this year. And we already lost once. We still got 2 to go. Yep. But we could be on upset alert because they pass too much. But I think the only play I like is the under.
All right.
Where's that disdain you have for North Carolina, man? Mac Brown and Sam Howell. Where is it?
Yeah, where is that? Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't. The quarterback situation is huge for Notre Dame. And we're not gonna get a running game going because our running backs are too light in the ass. We don't have no. We got an offensive line that pushes their weight forward, and they need that impact behind them. And this guy is trying to jump through holes, be patient. And sometimes he slips through and makes some good plays because he's fast. But for the most part, if you get a fingernail on him, he's going down. So the running game is not going to just show up out of nowhere. And the passing game is not either because we went and got a bum quarterback. Like, why would we go get a quarterback from a running school? And, we plan on passing the ball, so that whole little situation is backwards. I think Kelly has his foot in his mouth as far as his choices for recruitment at quarterback. I really like the freshman number 10. At least he's involved with Brady Quinn family, and he got some loyalty to the game. The rest of them don't even got no loyalty to the game. They just out there trying to make a case for themselves. So I'm of course I'm a Notre Dame fan. I'm a bet Notre Dame, but I'm not gonna tell nobody else that this is a spot where we could be beat for sure. But the under might be the play because we don't like scoring a lot of points at the house.
Yeah, all I know is North Carolina's flighty, and I can't trust them. They could lose to anybody. They can beat anybody, but they can lose to anybody as well.
Absolutely.
All right, stay tuned on that one, DJ.
Yeah. All right,
but catch my man Big Ragoo's ticket though, because I have a ticket too, but I won't tell nobody.
All right, we've got the late games now coming up next. We've got UCLA, Utah. Utah 6.5-point home favorite, 60 the total. I think Utah could be a bounce-back spot for them here, to be honest. I like them at home. They beat Arizona State at home. I think they're more than capable of showing up here and getting the job done here at home against UCLA, coming off a disappointing loss to Oregon last week. I don't trust the Bruins to really bounce back from that. Utah's played good ball lately on that home field in Salt Lake. I lean to Utah minus the points. Maybe the game goes over, too, because you got offensive capabilities. Utah defensively has not been great either this year, and UCLA might score here, and I certainly think Utah's offense is good enough to put a bunch of points on the board at home against this UCLA defense, which just collapsed in the second half against Oregon last week. So favorite and over for me in this game. Utah and the over. Conor Mac?
Yeah, these teams get in the 30s. I lean over here on the 59.5, 60. I think the number's right there. I love Utah at home, but 6.5, the number's right there. I just don't trust UCLA enough on the road. I think I need more here to take them. So it's kind of Utah or pass for me.
All right, Big Ragoo.
This is your Pac-12 over spot of the day, guys. I'm jumping on that over. I think both teams hit the 30s, maybe like a 34-31 type final. And Utah probably gets a win, but not the cover in the back door. Not a back door, but it's going to be score for score here, I think. I think it's a good spot for Utah to win, but maybe not cover, but to catch the over.
All right, boss, what do you think?
I enjoy that over too. I support that. Connor said it a few shows back, and we've been sticking with it. UCLA needs at least 30 points to even have a chance at winning. So you can count them in for their 30. Let's see what Utah can put up, and it goes over.
Good stuff. All right, next up as we continue along here, the late games, we've got the Bronco Bowl next up, Virginia and BYU. In this one, we've got BYU 2.5-point home favorite, 66 the total in this game. How much of an element is there at Virginia kids? You know, they know Bronco Mendenhall, their head coach, is going back to BYU here since I believe, for the first time since he coached them there. Incentive to win this game. I don't like the way BYU's trending, to be honest. They've kind of gone backwards the last few weeks a little bit. I think it's a winnable game for Virginia. You know, you worry about the physicality a little bit, always when you play a team like BYU, but you know, Brennan Armstrong has been magnificent. And look, we're seeing the passing game really start to shred BYU. BYU secondary's kind of struggled lately, and that's where Virginia's offensive strength is, throwing the football with that passing attack with Brennan Armstrong. So I kind of like Virginia here as a small dog. Connor, what do you think?
Man, this is a pass for me. I think both teams are going to score. I think Virginia can throw it on BYU, and I think BYU is going to be able to run it on Virginia. So just a pass. I think lean BYU. They're at home. Laying less than a field goal, lean BYU.
Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I was curious about this travel spot for Virginia, but maybe a little more physical team. But
yeah,
where's Virginia's defense gone over the years? You know, just that's a shocker too.
Nowhere.
Like we say, some of these coaches have flipped switches on their talent and the way they approach their game. But this is one of them, and I think we'll see points, and I think maybe BYU can just do it just enough to get the W.
All right, boss.
Well, I like what you're saying about BYU trending down. I'm starting to notice that the coach is more enthusiastic about winning than the team, and that could be a problem in the long run. I kind of going to go with the big arm over there at Virginia. You know, he's a NFL candidate, so he's going to go and do what he got to do. But I can't neglect the fact that this would be a great win for BYU on stating their case of what conference they're going to end up in at the end of this whole thing. So I think they'll come out and play hard as well. But the only thing I would lean as far as a bet on this one would probably be the under, because I think BYU has the ability to make it a chess match sometimes, but then sometimes they can shoot it out with you. And this one right here, I don't think you want to try to shoot it out with that quarterback. He'll beat you in the end for sure.
All right, we have 2 games left, Washington and Stanford. Stanford 2.5-point home favorites, 46 the total. Give me Stanford. Simple as that. Stanford's had a more Stanford's overachieved and had a better season and exceeded expectations, and Washington's the polar opposite. They've completely disappointed. They've been floundered under expectations. The offense terrible. Dylan Morris, and they can't move the ball against Arizona last week in that game. They barely win 21-16 against a horrible Arizona team. Much better quarterback, Tanner McKee, from what I've seen from Stanford than anything we've seen out of Dylan Morris. Yeah, Washington does have probably the better defense, but that's not been making any sort of difference for them lately. I think on the road, and Stanford hasn't played at home in a while. I'm seeing they're fired up to return home in Palo Alto, play this home game. The tree gets it done. Stanford. I'll go money line minus 140, but minus 2.5. I like that as well. Stanford wins this game. I'm totally fading Washington every opportunity I can get. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll lay the 2.5 with Stanford. Last time they were home, they beat Oregon. I had them there off the bye week. Washington's defense, I think, keeps them in the game, but McKee's the better quarterback. I think he'll make a play in the end, the plays, and they win at least a field goal. They cover.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, Washington's road struggling to put points up, especially on the road. 0-3 ATS. Stanford, a couple key victories. I think they get another one here. You know, short number. Take Stanford.
All right, boss.
I don't know. I got mixed emotion. This Pac-12 at night. It looks like a clear spot for Stanford, yet the number doesn't say that Stanford's going to be an easy win like that. But I had to stay off of this game.
All right, nothing wrong with that. All right, the final game. It's a Mountain West matchup. It's a DJ Big Boss special to wrap up the show. Fresno State, San Diego State. We got a pick 'em here. Actually, Fresno now 1-point road favorites, 44.5 the total. I think Fresno gets the win. I've been lower on San Diego State than a lot of people. And look, Fresno's been vulnerable at times. I'm not sure San Diego State's been able to see this kind of quarterback play in a long time with their own defense. And my concern is that Fresno can move the ball a little bit against San Diego State. And I think that if they can move the ball, Fresno, and put up points, they're finally going to put this Aztecs offense in a position where they got to play catch up from behind. And I'm still not convinced they're that kind of team that can do that. So I think Fresno gets the win. I like Fresno earlier in the week, and I'm going to still stay that way, Fresno, and just ask them to win the game in a pick and price range. Conor Mac, what do you think?
This one's interesting for me, this one. I think this one could go under or kind of get into some points and get into maybe a shootout and get this over. San Diego State was an over team early on, back to their under ways. The defense has taken over 3 straight unders. I lean San Diego State in the under here. That would be my play.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I think stuff is trending Fresno's way, but something's pulling me back towards San Diego State. Basically a pick'em spot here. I mean, they're undefeated. Why should they lose here? And Fresno's a nice team, covering on the road 3-1, 6-2. But I gotta stick with the undefeated team. Do some lean though, not getting to the window.
Yeah, and the counter argument to that is, well, Fresno's the team with 2 losses, and they're the team taking the money here in this game. Right. So it could go both ways. Like, what's up with that? How is the undefeated team, and yet the money's coming in on the other side? So, right. Boss, what do you think?
Hey, that undefeated thing for San Diego State, you got to realize is just a ticking time bomb. Same way it was a ticking time bomb for Air Force. It's just a matter of time till they meet their match, and they meet their match right here. Tell me which team out of these teams have anywhere comparable to the offense that Fresno State has. New Mexico State, Arizona, Utah, Townsend, New Mexico, San Jose State, or Air Force.
It's pretty weak slate of offenses for that Aztec team.
None of them can compare to the offense that you're going to see from Fresno State. And like I said last week, the part that they're not mentioning about Fresno State is they have a little defense this year. So they're going to come back and lay a little bit of defense on San Diego State, who struggled in the past. They struggled at the run. They're on their number 2 quarterback. And, it's just a tick of time. It's time for that to happen. One thing, I think Brady Hoke, he's getting a little happy. As Big Ragoo say, he's getting a little cute. And he's out there talking a lot of stuff about how well his team is. But he failed to mention with this Fresno State team, and I was just watching to see if he pointed it out. One is Ronnie Rivers may be back this week. Supposedly he practiced a little bit. He's an explosive back for their offense. And the dynamic thing about him is that he catches the ball out the backfield. You can't be a coach and not mention that this running back is being able to catch the ball on the edge and get yards. That's going to hurt your defense. San Diego State is stopping people in the middle and all that. Now, if you string that on the outside to a back that can, make a few people miss, we got money going on right there. Not to mention that you're dealing with a NFL caliber quarterback from California playing where he want to play, and he's going against another California team that he wants to beat. So I'm going for Fresno State all the way.
He's in his element, and I expect a good game out of Jake Haener. And like I say, finally put San Diego State in a position where they're down a touchdown, down 10 points or something, and that's where I think finally the chickens come home to roost for Brady Hoke and the Aztecs tonight. So that's a good game, though. I'm interested to see how it goes. Great stuff. That's the Saturday card. 130 live viewers. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already. We'll wrap up the show with best bets in just a second, but first, messages from Manscaped and Southtown 101. All right, Southtown 101. When you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in for great food, drinks, live music, DJs, and karaoke. Southtown 101. Manscaped, promo code PubSports, 20% off your purchase of Lawnmower 4.0 or any Manscaped product using the promo code PubSports. MyBookie.ag, promo code PubSports. Football season, lots left. NBA, NHL, college basketball, you name it. It's all here. Sign up for an account, mybookie.ag, Bitcoin accepted currency for your deposit. Check it out. Sign up for an account, mybookie.ag, promo code PubSports. All right, best bet time to wrap up the Saturday college football kickoff show. Conor Mac, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
There's a few I'm going through here. It's not the sexiest game out there, but I'm going back to a total like last week. Give me Purdue, Nebraska, under 53.5. Too many points in that one. It's too high. The game stays under with the defenses. Purdue, Nebraska, under 53.5.
All right, Purdue, Nebraska, under 53.5. Best bet for Conor Mac. Big Ragoo, best bet.
I'm never disappointed in my man DJ, but I'm a little disheartened about your play on North Carolina today. But just for that reason, Notre Dame by 10 points tonight.
There you
Let's
go.
go. Let's go.
Notre
Hey,
Dame minus 3.5. That's not my best bet, but I like that side. Notre Dame minus 3.5 against North Carolina.
Irish.
Best bet for Big Ragoo. Boss, best bet.
Hey, we know what happened last time when the opposite of us had faith in the other team. So that one's probably gonna cash. But I'm gonna do what I do. But my best bet is gonna be that under in that Utah State Hawaii game.
All right, Utah State Hawaii game under 66 for Big Boss with the Hawaii Utah State game. Best bet. My best bet is going to be, let's go with that Penn State Ohio State over 60.5. The more I look at it, Penn State's played these slogging teams with Indiana and Iowa and all these plodding, boring, dull offensive teams. Well, now they're going to face a real offense tonight. And I think the Ohio State defense is a little overvalued after playing, Indiana with no offense, Maryland with banged up receivers, all kinds of issues for Ohio State with these offenses they've played. Penn State's offense is better than anything they've faced the last 4 weeks. So I think you see points. Penn State, Ohio State over 60.5. I almost made Stanford the best bet, but I'll go with Penn State, Ohio State over 60.5 for best bet on this Saturday card. That'll wrap up this edition of the Saturday College Football Kickoff Show. We appreciate you guys joining us, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific.
Shout out to the chat. Shout out to our chat.
Join the UFC stream. Hop on over to the UFC stream if you're interested. It's on and ongoing for the rest of the afternoon. Jimmy the Bag with NFL Pub Hub tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Connor and I will be back with Hitting the Books on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, Pub Hub NBA returns on Monday as well. So for Big Ragoo, Conor Mac, DJ Big Boss, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you again next Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, Saturday College Football Kickoff Show right here on Pub Sports Radio.